pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Everybody have a seat. We are minus Trustee Humphrey this evening. I don't know if everybody got the word or not. I don't know why he's not here, but he's not here.
Yeah, we get one email and he was going to be here, and the next thing you know, he's not here. Something came up.
Yeah. Anyway, so I will start this evening with privilege of the floor. Mr. Davis, please talk to us about Amendment 4.
All right. Well, we sent, I know Greg, I think just sent it to you, kind of a breakdown. It was requested for Amendment 4. Did everybody get a copy of that?
No. Did everybody get a copy of that?
I didn't print it off.
Check here.
So I think that was where I was going to start. It's obviously, in general, the project, has been going on and on. So we understand everybody's kind of tired of it. Probably nobody's more tired of it than me and Scott sitting here and the people working on it. But we still have 3 or 4 staff members every day working on the project. We still have UV system that's not even here yet. So the project is ongoing. Even though the main part of the project is closed out, we still have things hanging out there. The UV part we put into the project after we put the composting into the project, because we got 85 cents on the dollar basically as a grant to put that system in. So I just wanted to set the stage, that although it feels like we should be done right now, we're not done. Things are continuing on. And the other 15% of that money that's going to go towards the UV is obviously 0% interest. So the decision to put the UV in, even though we didn't have a decision because VDC forced us, it made good financial sense. At this point, our amendments, just kind of go through the list a little bit, include things like some extra work that we had for fixing the septic receiving station. I want to make some enhancements there, put a cover over it, put some additional screening in there. Obviously, the 2 biggest things is grant administration type of stuff, paperwork that had to go into the composting grant. That's an ongoing process. We submitted a pretty substantial package for that. They need to have documentation of every penny that we spent that they're going to be issuing grant money on. And then also this composting permit process was much more expensive than we have ever had to do in the past and that we expected to do. You were at the meeting with DEC, Scott, so we got a little flavor for what things that are different now at DEC. We used to know the gentleman that gave the composting permit, and we did the same exact process we've done for 6 other composting facilities, if not more. And they have new staff at DEC that wanted much, much more information, let's just put it that way. So we went back and forth quite a bit. It's resolved, we got our permit, we're good to compost now, but it took a lot more effort on our part that we didn't anticipate when we did the last amendment. So those are the 2 major things. We have been providing operational assistance to the guys down at the plant. Aaron's been here. Part of the observation costs of the amendment are for him to be down. I think he helped write some operating procedures, kind of keep Randy and those guys on track down there. It's a new system. They've done a great job, getting up to speed. But I think from day to day, they were, kind of looking for some guidance. We have actually helped write some operating procedures for those guys so that they got a list of things on the wall or, a list of things that, need to be done down there. So the other part of it is just the extension of time. The UV system obviously is still hanging out there, so we still have closeout for contractors. I can tell you another big one that's part of that is D'Amico, and we're still dealing with D'Amico. IRS is obviously involved, so Just to give you an update on D'Amico while I'm on the subject, they have actually slowly but surely done work down there and have been completing things every now and again, right, Scott?
Very slowly.
With that being said, about, I think it was 2 months ago, we wrote them a letter and basically said, you have a time frame. If you don't come down and finish everything, we're going to terminate the contract and go to somebody else. That time frame has expired. So we now have the opportunity to go to somebody else. At the same time, we get calls from IRS saying, how come you haven't paid us our money that is due? And I explained that we don't really owe D'Amico quite yet because they're not done with the punch list, but it gets a little more complex than that. But at that point in time, John had to get involved. I recommend highly that John's involved from here on out with the D'Amico situation.
John Vogel.
Yes. Because we're in a situation where IRS is now giving us a, what do they call it?
Demand for payment.
Demand for payment.
Yeah.
So whatever we owe D'Amico, we owe the IRS. In this situation, I did talk with Mike Stepka. He told me that it was going to be acceptable for us to take what punch list items are left that D'Amico still has to complete, take a value off of what we owe D'Amico. We can take that value off of what we would then pay the IRS. So essentially all we have to pay is what's left over that we need to, from what we need to finish the project. Aaron has a meeting, I think, early next week. Maybe it's late this week with Crane Hogan and Danforth to get some pricing on the items that are left in D'Amico's punch list so that we can get a value that we can substantiate. I'll get it to John Vogel, and then we can hopefully send that to IRS, pay that, close out D'Amico.
What do we still owe D'Amico?
I don't know if it's like 30 grand, maybe 30 or 40 grand. There's 2 contracts with D'Amico, so it's split apart. Actually, I have it here. I'll tell you what it
I was just wondering because it seems like it's getting expensive paying you guys to oversee what D'Amico's doing. You know what I'm saying?
I understand, and so,
Sometimes I wonder if you would just pay D'Amico and be done with it.
yeah, well, unfortunately, the IRS gets their money first. And if they don't get their money, the Department of Labor gets their money second. So in this case, D'Amico really doesn't get anything. But I guess my point would be most of our time is navigating through the issue that we have so that we don't get in any more legal trouble or have any legal issues from that. That would be my concern, D'Amico is savvy enough, and so I'll just leave it at that. You want to be careful in this situation. So, D'Amico is owed right now. I have about 8,000 there, but that doesn't. Does that sound right to you?
No, it's closer to the 30,000.
Yeah, because
Yep.
that was money withheld from the last claim
From the
that
last-
we got from the department,
Yep.
from the IRS. Yeah.
Yep.
So it is about 30,000. It's not showing up right on here. But that's based on efforts to date. So, but yeah, I understand. The point would be, okay, we're paying more money than D'Amico's worth, and that, in fact, is probably true over the course of this project. We are getting close to the point where we can close them out. I will tell you the only other issue that we have, and the reason I advise John to still be involved in this situation, is that D'Amico has sent us their final release of liens that's supposed to basically identify anybody that they still owe money to from a subcontractor perspective. And they made exceptions to that for 3 or 4 subcontractors. I think what John's telling us, we have a legal obligation now to pay IRS, but it opens us up to potential issues with subcontractors down the road if they decide to try to come after the village for monies that D'Amico had owed to subcontractors. So it gets into construction law, and it gets into stuff that's you're going to need some legal help with, I think. I've been trying to explain a little bit to John Vogel. I think he understands the situation. I think he's telling me at this point, though, there's not much we can do about that. But once we get this pricing for what punch list is left on D'Amico's plate, we should be able to try to put that to bed.
And what was left off the liens, what they owed? Or
How much was?
how much more are we talking about?
It was about 15,000, somewhere in that range. It was, so it was.
We could be on the hook for it.
Yes, but we had held enough to cover that. The only issue is, and this is what I wanted advice from John, are we obligated to pay the IRS, or are we more obligated to pay the subcontractors to make sure we don't get sued from them?
Seems like we're the ones in the middle. We're going to get it from both ends.
Right. So anyway, I got off track a little bit, but it's just an example. I mean, these things are still going on every day, you know. And so, I don't know, if you have questions, you know, it's probably the next step. I don't want to be back here any more than you want me back here asking for money, so, you know, but
Well, the last time I think we seen you, we were told that when we did Amendment 3 was going to carry us through to the end of the project. But we're not even close, and now there's another large chunk of money that's being asked for.
Yeah.
I understand, and that was when we were talking about the UV.
Right.
And that hasn't even really gotten underway too much, has it? And now we're asking for more money now. So I am anticipating Work Amendment 5 coming at some point. When 3 was, we were told up here as a board, and correct me if I'm wrong, that was going to carry us through to the end of the project.
the anticipation at that time was that and the anticipation was that we would not have, you know, the D'Amico would close out, that we would not have issues with the composting.
But I think Amendment 4 is $78,000. We're talking about governing D'Amico's $30,000 is, you know, eating up a big chunk of what we've already paid. You follow me? So if a large chunk of this money's been eaten up out of Amendment 3 to govern D'Amico, now there's another $78,000 on the board to still deal with it more. It seems like we're the ones who are getting drained on all this.
Yeah.
And I know we talked way back about what's our recourse as a village. We're spending large amounts of money to govern somebody who's not done their job.
The recourse is...
So do we owe them anything? Because we're paying you to govern what they haven't done. So I don't think we owe the IRS anything because D'Amico should owe us money for what we have to pay MRB to try to figure out this whole mess. Right? I mean, there's a recourse.
There's two things that I would say is that, you know, one thing is with our amendment, number 3, you know, we don't like to come back for amendments, you know, despite that we've been back here a couple times. But the one thing that I will tell you is that when we do the amendment, we do it on the best knowledge that we have at the time and try to estimate it so that it's accurate. We're not going overboard, you know, so the only downside to that, the good side is that you guys are obviously going to just pay for what's necessary to close out the project. The downside is if we do run into issues, I got to come back here and explain them, and we got to do an amendment again. Going on to your issue with D'Amico, though, the village could take action against D'Amico. You have costs that you've incurred, you know, with D'Amico throughout the entire project. We still have costs that are being incurred with D'Amico. We're going to pay IRS monies that we owe D'Amico. And, you know, the only thing I caution the village on is that, you know, let's say we spent 30 grand dealing with D'Amico, or 40 grand dealing with D'Amico through the project, maybe even more than that. You know, for us to make a case against D'Amico, make a sound enough claim and get our money back, I would think, you know, with attorney fees and everything, I don't know what would happen. You know, it would be a gamble, quite honestly, on your part to...
Well, I'm understanding it's a gamble anytime you go into court.
Yeah.
But it just seems that, at least for me, that no matter what anybody else does, we're going to pay. And that's not right. We contracted for certain services. Those services, in at least one case, were not provided. At least not to the standard that they should have been. we're still playing catch up with all that garbage.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just find it ludicrous that we have to pay anything when it comes to them. If the IRS, I mean, I understand feds are up there and we don't probably have a prayer against them, but D'Amico's the one that screwed it up. D'Amico's the one that should pay, not us.
Yeah.
Have the IRS go and confiscate their property or whatever they've got and sell that first, then maybe come back to us.
Yeah.
But just, no
I,
matter how you look at it, the taxpayers are still taking it, where.
I have to agree, and I feel like that because there's contingency money sitting there, that we're a sitting duck to just continue this project until the contingency money's dried up, is how I kind of almost feel.
right.
Nothing against MRB or anyone down there, but because there's still money on the table, I feel like, well, we'll just keep working at whatever it is, and we'll make these bills, and someone else is going to just eat the contingency up, and let's figure it out and close this darn project up. Because the last time we went through this, it was, this will carry us to the end, and it'll handle the disinfectant and the UV and all that. And the UV isn't even close to being done, correct?
Well,
And we're asking for more money already.
Hasn't really started yet.
And that's what I'm saying, but Amendment 3 was supposed to take care of that, and it's not. We haven't even... And like I'm saying, Amendment 4 is here, and I'm sure Amendment 5 is around the corner. You know what I'm saying?
I can't predict that, to be honest. We're certainly not out to use up your contingency or anything like that. Just trying to close out the project and get it done.
How much closer are you today to closing that project as you were a month ago?
Well, a month ago, since that time, we got closer to ending this D'Amico thing. We got most of the contracts from the compost project are closed out at this point in time. I think D'Amico's the only other contract from the original project that's not closed out, with the exception of MW Controls and Crane Hogan, who's going to do the UV work. Those prices are in, everything's set, the change orders are ready to go. The shop drawing for the UV systems come in, things like that. The other part of the equation that will come up is there's going to be SCADA requirements to tie the new UV system to the SCADA. So we're going to need some assistance there to do that from, right now, ABJ, who provided the original PLC for the main process equipment. Everything goes back to that PLC. They did the programming for us for all the control work and everything. So they're going to have to come back and incorporate the UV part in that. So there will be costs for that part. But that is, about some of the things that have happened over the last month. I'm trying to think of everything else. We've gotten pricing from Crane Hogan to do some of this septage receiving tank work. We've talked to Crane Hogan too about doing some other improvements, some other work down the plant. This was another item of discussion for tonight.
What I don't understand, to kind of follow up with what Trustee Deanna said, is that as you look at Amendment 3, many of the items there are specified, and there's an associated dollar amount, and then there's a continuation of the same item into Amendment number 4. So we thought with Amendment 3, we were approving additional funds to cover UV system construction. It's got construction admin services, construction observation services. It's got operator assistance. It's got sampling application for the sludge composting permits included. Construction admin and observation of the installation of the UV system. And yet, if you look at Amendment number 4, many of those items may be not specified in the same way, but the takeaway that I have from looking at Amendment number 4 is that these items are still open and there's still work to be done, when, in fact, if you look at Amendment number 3, we should have already approved sufficient funds to cover those items.
Yeah.
So where's the disconnect here between, it just seems to be a continuation of what we previously approved, with the idea that, it was pretty open-ended. There were specified amounts of money that we approved, and then there was money on a per-hourly basis, and yet here we are looking at many of the same items in Amendment number 4.
the monies that we estimated in Amendment 3, ended up getting utilized for things like I mentioned, like the 360 permit and grant application administration for the composting grant and other things. So they didn't last as long as we had anticipated for the observation of the UV system, for example, and just carried us through to the end of the job. So additional things that came up, and we didn't know about them at the time of Amendment 3, so we didn't identify them. And in this situation, we are working to get the job done. So we don't have time really to come back before we do the 360 permit and estimate our time and go. We keep the process moving so that we can try to get things done. And so that's the difference. Just that we ended up utilizing the money for other things to get to the point where we are today. So the things with D'Amico that pop up, I mean, we have no idea what's going to happen in the next 6 months with D'Amico. I hope that things go well. This amendment will cover us. We'll get the IRS paid and get them out of our hair. And hopefully we can use Crane Hogan and their subcontractors to finish up their punch list. That's the intent right now. That's the goal. But you're right. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. If D'Amico files a legal claim against us for something, or, I'm not estimating it right now. I hope and pray that we don't have to even go down that road.
But it seems like if Amendment 4 is for $78,000, that means that over the last handful of months we've used up $78,000 working through paperwork.
Yeah.
Where's the...
In their defense, I will say MRV spent countless hours on...
$78,000 worth of
I'm
hours?
not going to get down to the penny, but he can give you the...
And I'm not saying they're not, but the last time we were here, this was completion of the project. Now we're here again. This will
I will
carry us
say-
hopefully further.
I will say that one thing that did come up and wasn't anticipated, because we thought we were on track, is what Bill's already mentioned, is the permit for the composting facility. And that took a lot of time and effort on MRB's part to get that going. And we can point fingers at how that came about, but it did suck up a lot of time. It slowed us down quite a bit, even cost us sludge costs, the hauling costs for that.
Well, just for your information, we spent probably 4 days last week to straighten out the boiler system and all that. So somehow we got to get figured out where to get them on that.
I think what we need to do, regardless of Amendment 4, is we need to sit down and come up with a plan how we're going to recover this money, because I'll be quite honest, and I think that includes lawyer costs too. Because this is just not right. And I think people need to know about it. We need to make a stink.
Yeah, because we're the ones that are taking on the chin for everything.
Yeah.
And, I know that you're here taking on the chin from us, but, we apologize for that up front, but we've had enough. And you know what? I'm only an 11-monther here. These guys here have been a lot longer, and I'm 11 months into it and been like, I would never thought 11 months ago that we'd be at this point. Because I don't feel we are any closer today than we were 11 months ago.
We're way
I can say we're closer.
We're closer.
We're closer, of course.
It doesn't feel that way.
6 years ago.
I agree, but the end, and I understand, I've worked construction over the years, and I understand that you get to a certain point, and then it's hard to get to the finish line. Making all the little punch lists and stuff go away is always tough. But, inevitably, we're talking about weighing this on the back of the taxpayers, because in the end, whatever this closes out at is what's going to determine their bill. And so we have to act in the best interest of them and say, enough is enough, and figure it out, because I will not vote yes for a number 5. I won't. Because 3 said it was going to take us to the end, 4 is going to hopefully get us to the end. It better get us to the end. And I'm just saying, because as a representative of the taxpayers, I feel that someone has to say that.
And I would say that, you guys, you make the statement that we're not any closer than we were.
I'm not saying we're not. I'm saying it feels.
I know it feels like it. I know we're a lot closer.
And I know we are,
I got to
too.
deal with it every day, and I know it's not going as fast as I want it to either, believe me. I mean, we started this project in 2010. You get tired at the end and it gets drawn out. You get used to it after a while, but at the same time, it gets to wear on you after a while. Now, I know we're getting closer. I know we're getting to the end.
How long do you think before we can get there? Before we see that checkered flag?
I think we have to pretty much be done. We're going to be done probably around June timeframe, I think. When the UV system comes in July 1st, I think, is where the contract actually went.
Now, and that's all of it.
Well, the UV system's the last thing left.
And that's going to be done by June.
It should be done by
Punch
June.
list will hopefully be good.
Crane Hogan has a few things, and Mark, I think, and we got to deal with the D'Amico punch list.
And estimations on number 4 are taking us how far?
To July 1st.
So if it's not done by July 1st, we're going to see you again.
Well, you're going to see.
Not that we don't think you got, a nice smile or whatever, but
here for another amendment, but yeah,
I mean, we just want you to understand where we are.
I do.
And we're not the first ones. You've dealt with a lot of
I deal with
municipalities.
that all the time, and so I understand. Just understand, we're just trying to get the thing done.
The point is, we got to push back at some point. We can't just sit here
And take
and
it.
get kicked.
And
And
D'Amico's
I'm not
cost us
saying you're
more than
kicking
we
us.
owe him, because I want you to figure out how much it's cost us to pay you guys to cover his crap. Because you know what? That's what he owes us. And we got to put a dollar amount on that. And you know what? The IRS has to understand that. Hey, he's costing us money too. So we are now one of his, his debtors.
Yeah. And we could quantify that for you if you want.
I think we're going to have to.
What does it cost us for D'Amico?
Right.
Because I'm thinking it's going to be a healthy chunk of change.
Yeah.
And I understand there's other things that have taken longer, the permits for the compost. I understand that, and that's all relative to the game.
Yeah.
But D'Amico's costed us a lot of money because we've
We've
saved
been
money.
held D'Amico's prisoner since the beginning of this project, and we're kind of getting tired of being held in a cell.
Right from that first winter.
Problem is trying to get any money out of them when you're all said and done. That's
But-
the problem.
We owe them money, and I'd hate to see even us release any of
But
that.
the IRS is going to take it no matter what. That's the problem.
Maybe.
Well, that's why I say it's important for John to be involved at this point. And
Definitely.
certainly, if there's any question about what's going on in the project, we don't really come here every month and give you guys updates. Maybe that would help so you guys understand really what is going on.
Not if it's going to cost us money.
No, it certainly doesn't
We're going to have all the money spent on the project.
Yeah, but I do encourage the board members to get, if you're questioning any of the costs that we're spending, I can give you more updates, I can get you more involved so that you understand what we're doing. It is difficult to come here and try to explain what's happened in the last 6 months when we spend all our time on it. But, easier to do probably on a weekly or a monthly basis.
Well, if it's coming down to the beginning of July and you're still going to be hanging out with us over the rest of the summer, we really need some updates.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's going to have a hard time biting anything after that.
Yeah. Well, we can give updates too. I mean, I can shoot emails out to the board. That sometimes helps keep you guys informed as to what's going on. You're not going to quantify every hour everybody spends every day, but it gives you a feel for what's going on. So.
Who's doing the tracking of the punch list?
Right now, Aaron has been down tracking the punch list and getting a hold of the contractors and trying to get them down here. We're going to probably keep Aaron on the job throughout the UV as far as observation goes. It's a part-time observation, so we're just going to, try to keep our time down, obviously, considering the circumstances, but want to make sure Crane Hogan's doing everything right. The nice thing about the UV is it's all above grade, so we don't have to be there every second, The reason we have Aaron here too, as well, is that he's an operator. So if he's been doing a little bit of SOP stuff on the side, trying to help clean up this punch list, trying to get it, a couple of additional things squared away down there. So he can kind of.
Do we have an update of this punch list? That's being looked at and taken care of?
Yeah, well, he'll go down, and he'll probably start, I think he's going down tomorrow, actually, crossing things off. As they get done, he's crossing things off. So we can give you guys an update of that punch list, too,
Yeah,
if you want.
yeah.
Crane Hogan has not been here very much. Correct me if I'm wrong, Scott. But
There's not a lot left on the punch list.
There's not a lot, but they haven't been here because they know they got to come back to do the UV system anyway. So we have allowed them to, work out of the work until we get to that point. There's nothing on their punch list that we're.
What's the holdup on moving forward with the UV? Why is that?
The UV shop drawings come in. We went back and forth with the manufacturer quite a long time, actually, with the shop drawings to make sure everything was right. We also had to work out the control situation with the SCADA because it's just the way they wanted to do it was not compatible with what we had on SCADA. So anyway, the shop drawing took a while to get approved. Once the shop drawings are approved, which it is now, the UV is being manufactured right now. So it should be here in the next month or two, I think. Then it can be installed. So the holdup is that it's under design basically by the manufacturer right now. Now it's under fabrication right now.
I mean, if you look at what we approved on Amendment 3 regarding operator assistance, $75 per hour, 8 hours per day, 2 days per month, for 9 months, which should take us out to June. Here we are, the first part of March. And we're looking for additional funding for operator assistance. I mean, just it goes on and on and on. And I understand, things change and more requirements are put in front of you and more challenges, but we need to get to a point where we can wrap this up and move on. I guess, Scott, as far as operator assistance, how long do you see a need for that to last?
I will say that Aaron's been there a whole lot more than you just described. A lot more. And then Brian's been down. Just the composting itself.
Mhm.
There's a lot of need in the composting.
They have somebody there to take you through the process?
Yeah, just to, there's a lot to composting. It's a lot more than just putting sludge and wood chips. We had some issues at the end last year. That's why I was glad when that stuff went out the door. It was old chips and it was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some things that the boys were doing wrong. Brian came down and straightened them out. But yeah, they're going to need a little guidance to get through this. So that I will say with MRV, you call them, you get to talk to somebody, and you get an answer. That's the nice part. And those guys, and Aaron's been there a lot. The deal with, you guys have no idea this D'Amico thing. I mean, it's been a nightmare, and I'm frustrated. But I can just see at the end of the day, you try to go after them. We're going to pay attorney fees, this, that, and the other thing. We might better just get what we can get and move on. That's the way I feel. I understand, Pete, how you feel. Trust me, I'd love to get some money out of them. But I know they've already set up another business name. I'm sure the one that they're on now is history. They're shady guys. Unfortunately, they know how to work the system, and they worked us.
And the IRS was having trouble tracking them now because they switched names and they wanted to know if they had switched their name with us. And I said no. I mean, the contract's with the contract. The name of the company is originated, so they were nervous that they had switched names and gotten payment from us. And I said, no, we've held strong as far as that goes.
Well, we know where they're at. They change their name all they want.
Yeah.
How difficult would it be to do an assessment of what they have cost us?
Well, in our billing system and timesheet system, most of the time is mine, quite honestly, for D'Amico and some of my staff that would be working on that. We typically make notes on our timesheet. So I'd have to basically print out probably a set of papers like this and just scroll through and see what I could find that's associated with the D'Amico issues. It can be done.
Okay.
No question that it can be done. It would take some time, but if you wanted to try to quantify it, we certainly could.
I think we'd want to talk about it some more
Yeah.
before you put the effort in.
Yeah.
And personally, that would be my approach. I find fault in a lot of us in the fact that we've gotten to the point that we're at in the project, and we allow the situation with D'Amico just kind of linger and go on and go on and go on. And we all can take part of the blame for that. We should have stopped it when in the beginning of the process when we had the opportunity. But we all chose just to try to deal with it as best we could. And we're here today paying the price for that.
Yeah.
That's kind of my perception.
I think we were advised to kind of lay off them and not pursue it.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
What we
Because we might not get any more of what we got.
yeah.
You know, and now it's coming back to bite us.
Yeah. I see this a lot, you know, on all our construction projects, we typically at least have a
But it's
contractor that we have trouble with. No, this is pretty long, this is exceptionally long, and,
But I'm saying, this is wrong,
Oh,
what's
wrong.
being done.
yeah,
And I'm tired of rolling over for people because they get a lawyer.
right.
This guy supposedly submitted a bond, right?
Yeah.
Can we go after that bond?
Well, that's another discussion to have with John at this point. We basically gave them a time frame to
Yeah.
finish up. They didn't finish, we can terminate the contract and hire someone else to finish it up.
Not at an additional expense, so.
No, I mean, that will come out of D'Amico's cost.
Yeah, right.
And I don't
You
think
just
that we-
hope that whoever we get to finish the stuff, we have enough money left over
Yeah.
to cover it. Otherwise, it will be an additional cost.
Yeah.
No, well, and we do. I mean, that's purposely why, you know, we're here, is to make sure that we have enough money left over. We do have enough money left over to cover the punch list cost. The argument now is, you know, IRS wants their money because they're tired of D'Amico just as much as we are because they're not getting paid their taxes, you know. So,
Well, the end result is we ain't paying the IRS money that D'Amico hasn't earned.
yeah, and that was my first comment back to Mike because he's like, you told me that they would be done by now and there would be a payment. I said, well, they're supposed to be done by now. And then we sent the letter to D'Amico to give them a final date so that we had an end date, you know, to when we could go to somebody else. Because if we just decide to hire somebody, D'Amico is still, we have not given them notice. You know, we've been advised to make sure that we give notice, we give a termination date. It's all the legal crap so that we can get out of this without getting sued from D'Amico at the same time, believe it or not. You know, and so we did that. Now, at this point, that's ended. I told Mike, from our standpoint, we're not obligated to pay the IRS until we're obligated to pay D'Amico. That was my comment to him. So he didn't really like that, but in technical terms, we didn't have to pay D'Amico retainage because they weren't done with their punch list. So that's basically where we stand right now. And the only good thing I can tell you is that he did concede that, yes, if there's, I said, look, if we pay you everything we owe D'Amico, we still got a punch list to get done. You know, this is going to cost the village, and we still got subcontractors that are owed. That could potentially cost the village. So, you know, there's nothing right about it. Believe me, there's a lot of situations like this at the end of these projects that are not right. You know, the difficulty is trying to figure out what's the best course of action. So I can tell you that I think even in the beginning, we advised, you know, that we weren't going to kick D'Amico off the job. We would have definitely been in court for, you know, trying to prove that D'Amico was not capable of doing the job, because that takes their bonding capabilities away. It takes them their abilities to go after every other job. What are they going to do? They have nothing more to do but hire a lawyer and take us to court so they can go to work the next day. So, you know, that was the concern in the beginning. We didn't get off, aside, our expenses, and that's been considerable, but it's not like we had to pay D'Amico major change orders or anything like that. It's not like we're in court yet, knock on wood, that we can get out of this without going to court. So.
Something else.
The good thing is, you know, D'Amico is a major thorn in our side, but, you know, to stay focused on the project has come out very well, in my opinion. You know, the process is working very well. We got through this composting permit issue finally, so we should be able to get composting going and get that going.
Has that been issued?
And then,
The
We
permit?
do have the permit, yes.
Oh.
We got it the other day.
Good.
Good.
Grant money should be dispersed pretty soon for the composting grant. And the WQIP monies, we've got everything on track for those as well, so.
Anything else for Bill?
No.
Thank you, sir. Wasn't too bad.
Well, you don't come back. I was like, oh, hurry back, y'all. Don't hurry back, y'all.
There is a couple things.
Oh, boy, hang on. We said you were dismissed.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, there is one thing that's rather important, and it has to do with the WQIP grant. We got awarded a grant for over $500,000. All the costs that tally up right now.
Oh, here we go.
Just when you think you'll like them.
Yeah, I know, I won't let up, right? All the costs tally up right now, it's about $300,000. So, essentially at this point, we're only gonna get reimbursed what we spend through the
Right.
WQIP grant. The rest of it, we're gonna get back. It's 85 cents on the dollar, so there's nothing, we can't obviously put in things.
Well, if we
that are
don't
not-
need it, obviously,
Right.
that's
Right.
all well and good.
We can't put things in there that are not associated with the UV project. But I did say to Scott and my guys that if there's anything associated with the UV system and structure and anything that we need to get done, or we want to get done as part of this project, we should get it in there now, because it's going to be paid for essentially 85% of it anyway by grant money. So I know as much as it hurts and burns to talk about spending more money, it'd be foolish not to use the grant money as much as we can at this point.
That would be a change order at this point, wouldn't it?
What is it? What's needed?
Well, we've talked about putting windbreakers on the structure. Right now, it's just an open pole barn structure. We've talked about, I don't know if there's any site grading or anything around the UV structure that we want to try to tackle, Scott. There's a number of ideas that have come up, but
When do we gotta have it back?
Yesterday.
well, we'll develop a list of things and get some prices for those things, and then come back to the board. So,
Where's the 15% come out of?
50%
Contingency?
comes out of contingency.
And 85% comes out of the other $200,000 that's available.
There's about three.
Are you guys covered under that? We put MRB under this?
Some of that's not going to be, 330,000 is left in contingency right now. That's with everything calculated in our latest amendment.
So the most we'd ever have to use is about $30,000 out of the contingency, because we only got to pay 15% on the 15 grand and 100,000. So let's say you come up with $200,000 worth of buy, we only got to come up with $30,000 because it's 15%.
Right. You're not going to use, right, you're not going to use much of your own money.
Yeah. But it's got to be something that's a worthwhile project.
Yeah, it's got to be associated with the UV system.
The whole system has UV.
It's the other end of the whole project.
Yeah. UV ain't we're done if I don't get there like that.
They told us we had to have it.
Yes, they did.
There are other items down there that we need to discuss.
Let's worry about that when we get to it.
UV? Really?
That's got nothing to do with UV.
No, but we have to discuss it sometime so we can move forward.
Well, let's worry about that when we get to that part of it. Right now, we're just talking about UV. If there's nothing more from Bill, adios amigo.
Are you going to put a list together and get it out to us of what these other items for the
We have a
UV may
list
be?
together.
Yeah, we'll get a list together for anything we can associate to the UV. We also have a list of things, other things for the project, if you want to consider using the financing that you have. And it is getting to a point where we've got to make a decision on that. I don't want to go there if you guys aren't prepared to talk about that at this point in time, but just realize that if you do want to do any of this stuff, keep talking about it, but you have to
Let's get it in
decide.
front of us.
Yeah.
I'd rather have it in front of me today, which means tomorrow or the next day, let's deal with it. That's kind of where I'm at. Let's not linger on anymore.
Because I still want it all done by
As soon
June.
as you can. put
Oh,
it-
yeah, I understand that. But, I mean,
Yeah.
if there's anything else regarding the project, let's get in front of us so we can
Yeah.
look at it.
Right,
How about if we set up a workshop? Would that be better? Like, just the board?
yeah,
together?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I do have it tonight. I've got pictures. We've got it all, but we've already went an hour, and it's
Yeah.
and Robin's not here too. And I'd like to have Robin here to hear everything. So he
Yeah, we like to have a
understands.
full board here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Right.
fair to try to do it,
Right.
and he doesn't.
Might be good to have a workshop right down at the plant if you guys want to do that, because you can see firsthand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What's
I'd like to do that,
down.
yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're working right now on getting prices from the contractor on a lot of that stuff too, so.
Yeah, I'd like to, I haven't been down there in a while, so.
The hard part is finding the right time.
We can do nights,
How long do you
weekends,
think?
whatever.
How long do you think the meeting is going to take?
Yeah, hour, 2 hours maybe, kind of like what we did last time.
Yeah,
Just wondering if we should try to get it on the next meeting night, next Tuesday, and try to just get there early. And the meeting's at 7. If we meet at 5 or something, just to get it done and over with. We got to meet before then so we can take action on things if there is things to do. That's just my thought. Time's always tight for everyone. We always seem to bounce things around and play tennis with times, and nothing ever lines up.
I'm okay with that. We want to do it next Tuesday.
Is this available to you?
Bill's working a schedule now.
What time would it be then?
Well, I just thought if it'd take an hour, if we met at like 5.
I could do 4. Can you guys do 4?
I can.
I can.
I get out of work at 4. I can try to be there. Hopefully, there's
What is it, Tuesday?
Yeah.
And then we can always break and.
Get out at 4, I can come a few minutes earlier. Yeah,
Okay. And I'll have about an hour and a half from 4 on, so
Okay,
that should be
yeah.
plenty of time.
let's plan on 4.
You said do about 5:30.
Yeah, I'll be.
You're in there.
You're responsible for refreshments and food.
Yeah, you get all sorts at the end of the tunnel.
Need another.
Just make sure it comes through. Just make sure it comes through the screen first.
That's exactly what I was talking about.
See you later, Billy.
Yeah. Be in touch. Thank you. Let me know as soon as. Oh, go ahead.
No, good seeing you, Bill.
All right. Yeah, you too.
Very careful.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bill.
Next week you have another hour of sunlight.
What's that?
See, next week
Yeah,
you'll have
next
another
week.
hour of sunlight.
Push out.
I am. Oh, there you go. Push hard. I didn't want to break it.
Hard out. I have to take it all apart to get that open, you know. You can leave your screen there.
I was hoping a bat would come in. They know yet.
Okay, moving on to mayor's comments, correspondence, March 15th, 10 o'clock in the morning. Myself, Denny Mass, Barry Haywood, and Paul Alioto, the superintendent of schools, and I will be going to meet with Ian Coyle and the director of social services to discuss our poverty issues and the impact it's having on our community. I don't know where that will go, but hopefully it will go somewhere positive.
Maybe free lunch.
I don't think it will be a free lunch. I make too much.
Don't say that.
Okay, next week at 7 o'clock we have along with the meeting, we have Empire Access franchise public hearing. There's actually 2 franchises, so they read the same except for who's involved. I guess it's just, there's divisions of Empire. So, did everybody get a copy of those? Did we make copies for everybody? Okay.
I emailed them. I
Okay.
didn't make copies.
Okay, and next month, we're going to try to start up the neighborhood meetings again. We're going to start with the wedge down here. Let's see where that goes. Myself, Scott, and the chief will be meeting to discuss issues in various neighborhoods and that. See if we can't find out what is on people's minds. Maybe address some of those issues besides water bills.
That's
And-
basically it.
Okay, everybody saw the Express a couple weeks ago?
No, I didn't.
Right there.
Is that based on the short little conversation we had?
Absolutely. It's about a 16-inch story, and only about 2 inches of it deal with anything to do with adult entertainment, as it were. And,
Just 2 inches of it?
yep, right here.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it was a bunch of garbage. I mean, adult store. We didn't talking about adult store. We talk about adult items in a
Do you know how
store.
many people have asked me about that?
Who?
I've gotten asked probably,
Oh,
if not 15, 20 times, where's the adult store going?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's already here. Where? I don't know.
I've had more questions about that and the exemption for veterans to get exemptions on their water bills than I have about the
Where's
tax.
mine?
I haven't heard one thing said about the tax cap over. Not one thing.
I
It's
heard
all
one
been these
person-
other items.
She did good.
Right, I couldn't believe it. I said,
Did you talk to her about it and say, what are you
No, I did not talk to her. I put an article, a column in last week's paper, or last week's paper now, and I also got a hold of the regional editor and told me he has a problem. He says, well, she is a little raw.
How many times do you have to spell things out for her? I even asked her to bring it and let you proofread.
Sad.
I think you're qualified for that too, right?
Found out she has a journalism major, apparently.
Yeah.
Journalism?
Anyway, that's what we got. So, I don't know. Speaking of porno, this past weekend I was...
Well, I don't need to know.
Yes,
I
we
gotta
do.
go.
Yes, we do need to talk with you. I'm going to ask you to check something out. Maybe you can answer that. My mother's 90th birthday surprise party Sunday. My sister hits me up. He says, I didn't know Dansville had a porno site. I said, what are you talking about? She said, yeah, it's Dansville online, and it's something like sitting in a tree or something like that. I can't find it
That's
tonight.
Cohocton.
Well, when you open it up, you'll know you're definitely not in Dansville anymore. Or maybe you are. It's very graphic.
What's this called?
I said,
I'm not checking out any of my stuff because my wife would be
no,
like,
no, no.
"Why is all of it?"
I only bring that up. I only bring it up because we don't need that kind of advertising.
What is it like, back
And I, with your experience with,
Oh, here we go.
hey, work whatever I can get here. I don't know. Is there any way we can look into that kind of stuff and find out who's bringing it on and setting it up? I mean,
You'd have to somehow be able to.
it was sort of personal because it says Peter R. It doesn't put my last name in there, but it's got my first name and my initial in there. Welcomes you. So there's
No wonder you want these welcome signs by all these entrances into the village.
I don't know.
I think they'll take another workshop to look that up.
I'm throwing that out there. If you get a
You
chance.
bring it up on your computer, we'll take a look at it. I can look at it on my computer. That stuff never goes away.
I know. I feel like,
It's like the gift that keeps
Aaron,
on
what's her
giving.
name there, the sportscaster. It was,
55 million.
I know it. Maybe we could take care of the
The
village
funny thing
debts.
was half of that was from the one place, and then the other from the.
We
guy
could
who
buy
did the
another
video. He
fire
had no
truck
money.
and new ambulance for these guys. We can get it all done.
55 million.
55 million now.
We're paying off the wastewater treatment plant at 55 million.
Well, we could rebuild it next year. I just brought that up. Okay,
Well,
I know
it's something we can look
it's
at.
out there, but I don't know if anything we've done or if it's.
It's on the internet, it's true.
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's in the paper, it's true.
Now, if it's not your picture with a big smile.
All right,
Okay.
moving on to something
Yeah, let's-
serious here.
That's yellow
I got it
smile.
going a while away. Legislative action list update there.
Okay. Just the ones that I don't have checked off yet. I did make a note just to remember to budget for the new ambulance tires, but we did put some cushion in the tentative budget, so I made a note on that. Reminder to vote on the tax cap override either this month or next month. And then
Let's do it
Mayor,
tonight.
you were going to review the adult entertainment law, and Scott and Dan were going to look into the youth football light bill.
I did.
And then we still had on here from previous months the community marquee, and then also the ambulance contract. And I think there was one more. I think it was the ambulance billing committee that I saw in here
The ambulance contract, probably.
from earlier, and the contract. Yep.
The only other thing I got under the legislative is next week we'll need to vote on a fair housing proclamation for April. It's part of our housing rehab program. We've been doing it every year. It's just a short thing. Did the board get a copy of that?
I don't think so, but I have a copy of it. I can put it in next week's folders or email, whatever you
Email's
guys
better.
prefer. I'll email those out.
A lot of emails better to me just because then I don't have the extra paper that's laying around.
And then I
Yeah,
did
so there's not much to it.
I did send out an email, but just in case anybody, or well, we don't put this on the website anyways. But for anybody that I didn't get an email to, we will have applications for the housing rehab grant in the clerk's office probably the last week of this month. So
Okay.
whatever we're
Do we have an idea when they'll be due in?
not yet.
I was thinking if we're having that neighborhood meeting, that might be a good time to put it out there as well. That's in April.
And I know we do have a long waiting list, but even at the end of this project, if we had, an exceptional waiting list like we did last time, we could qualify for a grant right away. So.
Okay. Try again. Okay, public safety, trustee Hortnack.
Ambulance?
Why don't you guys talk first? You gotta get out of here.
Okay, in the month of February, Danville Ambulance had 102 run numbers that were generated. 100 of them were actual requests for service for our agency. We responded to 98 of those hundreds. We had a 98% call coverage rate for the month of February.
Nice job.
We gave one call to Livingston County and we gave one call to Fremont Ambulance.
Fremont.
Yeah.
They're covering up in South Dallas.
It was way up on Day Road, yeah, and Fremont covered that for us. Yeah, there was actually, a couple of years ago, there was, Steuben County did some revamping of their districts.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we discussed it, actually.
Yeah,
And,
they did.
Fremont now comes all the way up to, right into the Hamlet of South Danville. We split it now on County Route 46, where before it was Whalen that came all the way over. So they covered that call for us on Day Road, way near the end of the month in February. Speaking of ambulances.
Possible stroke. 48 Moore Street.
Winter House.
Yeah. Good like that.
Where was it? Oh, we did 87 of those 98 calls. A chart was created for 60 transports, where 53 folks went to Noise. We took 7 people to Strong. We went to hospitals. We transported 2 in February. We had 7 cancellations, 2 DOAs, 11 people refused, and we did 6 standbys. 59 requests fell inside the village, 28 requests were outside the village, including we responded 7 times mutual aid to Steuben County.
What were the DOAs?
I couldn't tell you right where they were. I know we had one down on Main Street, and the other one was.
So is the other one down at the gazebo?
That was a January one.
They're having
That was a
fun.
January one.
Just about cardiac arrest probably, stuff like that.
Yeah, one was just,
Old age.
yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure we didn't have something going on I didn't know about.
Yeah, that was the aged out. Ryan Backus was our top EMT, responded to 24 calls, 21 as a primary caregiver. Chris Foster was our top driver. And we had a lot of EMTs take 10 or more calls over in February. So. The only other item I have is, I'm sure we received it in an email. I know Megan copied me in on it. Livingston County updated their ALS-BLS joint pre-hospital billing agreement with all the local agencies that they provide ALS for, which includes Dansville Ambulance. It's a retro contract. It was effective January 1st. Basically, it's the same one that we did the last 3 years. Billing rates between Dansville Ambulance and the Livingston County didn't change. It just needs a new signature. However, I didn't want to sign it without letting the board see it first, since I don't generate the bills. If you read it, basically all that pertained to the billing was, I believe, pages 3 and 4 on that. Nothing changed. Still a $225 flat fee if they provide ALS services on a BLS ambulance. $135 flat fee if Livingston County provides us with a paramedic that provides BLS services, which they never ever do. I know Megan and I talked that we've never seen that fee because they don't provide us with BLS staffing, but they do have a fee for it in case it really hit the fan, and they did. Other than that, just need the board's, blessing to sign it and send it back to Karen Dewar.
Is this the part where we can say, can you wait till we get paid before you get paid?
Well, you read the contract, and good luck. Did you read the contract?
Well, because it was the same as last one.
Yeah,
The only
ALS,
issue we ever had was the fact of when they get paid.
Unfortunately, the ALS providers get paid within 30 days. The agency gets paid within 30 days, regardless of whether or not we can recover funds. And that's really just the nature of it, unfortunately. I know I saw that in there.
B3.
Yeah. Fees set forth herein shall be paid to ALS by BLS no later than 30 days of invoice. Payment from BLS to ALS will be made regardless of BLS's recovery of money from any payer.
Is that under like B3?
4C.
It was something like that. So I did read that, but I just don't know.
I have not signed it, so.
I don't have any issues.
Just go ahead and get it done.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and sign it and send it back to Karen, and it'll be forwarded to Eric Gott, the chairman of the board of supervisors. He'll sign it, and then I'll get an original copy and can provide one to the board if they would like one.
Yeah, have one on file.
Let's
That's
have one on
Megan.
file, that's all.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And that's why I'll send me one, just so we can file it as well, okay? On that, unless you have any questions for me, I'll let Jerry do his thing.
All right.
Thanks,
Yeah, good month, as you see.
Yeah, great month.
Very good month. So, May 15th through the 21st is National EMS Week. I know I don't think we've done this before.
No.
Because we've always waited too late to do anything. But if the board would like to sign a proclamation.
You have a one that's available to use?
Well, I'll have to see if I can come up with one. But, we got time to get that done.
Yep.
So we can get something to look forward to in April.
What are the dates again?
It is the 15th through the 21st, so it starts right again in Dogwood. Yeah. It's this week after Dogwood.
You know, so we really would want to get that done for proof by next week. That way,
Okay.
otherwise you end up doing it right at the last minute. We could do it, say, on the 13th at our, April at our, department head meeting. But the
Yeah.
sooner the better.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
be done with
no,
it.
as soon as I,
And that way you can get it in the paper. Maybe they actually have it out before the week starts.
Yeah, they'll have that down as Fireman's Week or something.
yeah.
Proclamation was signed for Fireman's Week.
Yeah. Free beer for all. So I guess we won't be sending anything to the newspaper to print.
Make sure you spell it out.
Yeah.
If you'd like, maybe I'll just go ahead and write up the article.
That might be.
Might be safer.
What are you doing? What are you starting the mayor's comments or something?
Well, that was my. I started that again last week with my complaint about the lack of accurate coverage.
Did they put that in?
My understanding is they did. I don't read the paper except unless somebody hands it to me.
Yeah. I didn't.
Oh, actually, this one here, I got told about what was going on, so I went and bought one. That was it.
I did also.
My name's only thrown around in the Livingston County News.
Well, your name's in there.
Yeah.
Don't.
Capital letter.
Trustee Dan Rittenhouse received the message regarding someone wanting to set up an adult entertainment store.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the one.
Yeah.
Front page, buddy.
Made the front page of the LCN too. You guys have made too much money.
You got the ball rolling there, bud.
And they were off. $8,000 shy. I go, jeepers, it's poverty lane they're talking. Man, if you're going to get it right, let's give me where I was. I'm up around 13, not down around 20.
Front page above the fold.
Yeah, it was.
Just like that one. Can't miss it.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're going for the top, go for the front page above the fold. I'll have to remember that, Scott.
If you'd like, I can provide the board with a list of the award winners.
If you would, because I obviously didn't copy them down the other
Okay,
night.
yeah, just a couple of the highlights. It was Robert Smith with 203 or 206 calls for the year.
No, I think it was more than that. I thought it was around 220 something.
Yeah, it was up over 200 for the year. Plus, he had over 1,000 hours on schedule,
Yeah, I think he was around.
and that's only
1250.
scheduled hours.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's around
not
1250 schedule.
that's not including any calls that he's paying when he's off schedule. Time in there. So a lot of hours in there.
Is he getting the stipend?
Yes, he is.
That's why he's here.
All right. Yeah, we know where it's going.
Yeah. Well, actually, he hasn't even gotten the biggest check. So,
Who's that, Shannon Grease?
It's probably the guy that scheduled all those shifts.
yeah. No, but
Back
back is his is
He had 24,
Yeah, Ryan?
He had
Yeah.
24 calls in February that he was at EMT.
Yeah.
on, so
hey, as long as those ambulances are rolling out the door, that's
they're all
the important
terrible
thing.
ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a black cloud.
Yeah. Jeez. See, we got the thumbs up from John Vogel on a waiver for the
Right along. There was an email. Did I give it to you? Or not an email, it was a letter. Thought I
Yeah,
gave it
the
to you.
letter. Yeah, I passed it on.
Okay.
Yep.
So whenever, if you guys need to approve that, whatever, just let me know. So that way we can get started. I think there's only like one, maybe two right at this point that would be eligible to ride, but we've got some coming up down the road.
Yes, I think John recommended an age cutoff or something for that one at like 16.
When they turn 18.
Yeah, it's 16 to 17-year-olds. But the insurance company, or our insurance company, they set the limits on that. So
I think that more of the concern was the type of call. Who would be monitoring to make sure that they're
yeah,
back?
yeah, there's
You get a suicide by gunshot.
yeah, it's
They shouldn't be running in to try to.
Yeah, they're not. There's very strict guidelines. They only are on the schedule with a crew that is willing to take them. We don't just throw them on with someone.
Yeah.
The crew understands that they are in control. If the EMT rolls up on scene and anything like you just mentioned there, usually it's only the EMT that goes in. Nobody else goes in. We limit the exposure on all of that stuff. If it's a call that sounds bad, and if the EMT says, when we get out, you're going to go sit in the front seat, that's what that kid's going to do.
Do they have a special shirt? Like, just looking at the two of you, you've got an orange shirt on, he's got a blue.
Yeah.
Is there any way to on scene that they could have something that would dignify even to the police department, the sheriff's office, state police, that hey, this is a junior member or something? Is there something?
Yes, I believe Robert picked up when he was downstate in his old Corps some extra gear.
I see some white ones up towards the city, up around Webster. Stuff
White's usually the chief, though.
Yeah. I know.
Around here.
Yeah, I know they've got some extra gear,
Yeah.
and
Well,
the kids themselves, the Explorers actually have their own shirts.
Okay.
They're black with the white
Okay.
insignia on it, and I believe on the back also. They've got their own shirts just for that. They have a dress code that they have to follow. They go through all the training, and they're
Good.
almost ready to actually hop on the rig and start going. And like I said, some of them probably know where the location of most of the equipment is better than some of our drivers do. So, yeah. And we got a pretty good little Corps there, and they're anxious to learn. And one of the drills that I had them out on, boy, they were happier than heck to do it. So, asked for a volunteer to be a victim, and I had to pick one. So, yeah, not bashful at all on that. So, really good to see. So, just whenever you get that set, let me know so that way I can pass the word on, and we get that going. I tried to get the information that you were looking for on the increase in the MedX money. The difficulty was in 2014, there were some issues that have been taken care of. We were not getting checks on a regular basis, but that was all addressed. So I had a hard time getting an accurate number on what we actually got in 2014 because the checks were very sporadic. Now Megan gets okay.
Can we just get like what they've got in 2015 and what we got in 2015, so we can kind of look at the numbers moving forward with their contract?
Yeah, did I email that spreadsheet to everyone? I can summarize it though.
And then
Please do.
Right, did I email that?
I got
Or no?
a report that you did send me. Had some bar graphs and pie graphs and stuff on it. Is that what you're talking about?
No.
No? Okay.
No. Yep. No, I'll look at what I have and I can summarize it for you guys.
And then I don't know if we can get from you maybe by next week, like what you guys paid out in the incentive program
$40,000, just shy of $40,000
for the whole year.
For the whole year, 2015. We paid out far more than what we got in addition. I can tell you that right now. I'm going to guess the increase. Now that's going to be between the percentage difference plus the rate increases too. I think we gained probably about $24,000 roughly. That right there just covered the comp that we now have to provide ourselves because the county won't allow us in on theirs. So that's an issue that maybe, I know you like to tackle these tough ones. Focus on the county on that, okay? There's rumors that they may be working something out, but I've also heard another rumor that the only name that was mentioned was Livonia, which...
That they were going to cover the comp of the Livonias?
Yeah.
Well, I would think if they're going to cover the comp of one, they're going to have to cover the comp of them all. Otherwise, they're going to give a darn good reason why they are.
It absolutely better be that way, or else I'm not going to be very happy.
No, none of us
because
will.
I'm not sure how Livonia is actually paying less than we are, and I can't figure that one out.
Who's their insurance company?
It's all at New York State Insurance Fund. The only difference is
Call them and ask them.
is the the agency that we go through. We go through a different agency than they do. I've actually got Skip Wolf looking into that, checking with the agency that they use, which is Chandler.
Yeah, Chandler's who I use.
Yeah, so I can't figure that one out as to why. I mean, because they've got 3 ambulances and they've got 3, 4, 5 fly cars. And why it's based on vehicles and not personnel is another thing that I can't figure out. So
Yeah, I get with Chandler.
yeah,
give me a
that's
call.
Skip's working on that. So, but I sent a letter to Ian Coyle, the Board of Supervisors, and then to each one of our supervisors that we cover, stressing that this is a financial burden on us. I did that last year. It may be of a benefit for the village to express interest in it. I mean, it's costing all this money because they're not saving me any money by not allowing the ambulance company to be part of the county's self-funded plan. I don't believe, anyways. I don't think they gave you a break on what you're paying them.
No, it's based on assessment.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're still getting the same amount of money covering fewer people. And now we're making it up out of the billing money to try to cover that.
And then see where it ends up.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you right now, talking with somebody, that there seems to be a disconnect between the county EMS and the, I guess, what do you call it, the legislative portion of the county. Board of Supervisors. County EMS understands they cannot handle everything. The volunteers have to be there. They have to be there. They cannot take on, they're not trying to take over the county. And they can put their 2 cents in, but it's Ian Coyle and the Board of Supervisors that make the decision on this. The only
It's
thing
the Board of Supervisors that make the decision.
The only thing that they're apparently looking
Ian works
at
at
is
their discretion.
dollar signs, that if we can't cover, then they'll just gobble them up. Well, we found a way to cover the calls, but now they're putting a stranglehold on us by saying, well, you got to get your own insurance now. That's a big bill that none of us can afford.
How much less is Livonia's?
I want to say probably $4,000 or $5,000.
So based on what they have compared to us, we should come down about $15,000.
Yeah,
Being based on vehicles.
yeah, at least.
We have 3 vehicles.
Yeah, because the truck is certified first response vehicle. So as long as we respond to a call with it, it's got to be on the list. So,
Can't you just have to drive by the call with it?
no, because if somebody responds to a call with it and they get out and get hurt, so there was an auditor came down end of the year and went through everything and said, why isn't this on there? We don't know why it wasn't on there when it was set up. I don't know if the agency didn't ask the proper questions or what, but that's what we got. So did get a little bit of an increase. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's still a lot of money. So and as far as being able to give back any of the percentage right now, there is absolutely no way. So the contract needs to be what it's going to be. If we want to revisit it in a year, we can do that. If you want to do a 1-year contract again, I have no issue with that. So hopefully this comp thing will work itself out.
Open the door.
So with any kind of luck. And then
Thank you.
last thing is on the medic stuff. We kind of went back and forth, last month on, we got a stake in this. If you want us to kind of, go ahead and take the bull by the horns on the election stuff, we could probably do that. I mean, the billing is all in your name. It's the Village of Dansville Ambulance. It's the contract is between the Village of Dansville and medics on that stuff. You just gotta let us know what you want us to do.
You're talking about the ones that the bills that are still outstanding?
Yeah, the stuff that's outstanding. I don't know if you've had a chance to set up a meeting with Eric Dodge yet.
You've talked with them, haven't you?
Yep, I reached out to MedX and Lynette sent us some information that the mayor has right now.
Okay.
She gave us some different examples of demand letters that we could do. So
Okay.
we would basically create the letter or take one of the templates that they sent
Okay.
us, put it on village letterhead, but MedX would send everything out. So we would just send it to them, sign up on it. She said that's working for some municipalities, is just to send out this demand letter.
Right.
It's like a final notice type of thing. And then she said some of the municipalities are also switching to different collections agencies,
Yep.
not using the same one that we have been with since the beginning.
Right.
I don't know if she explained in the email what exactly it was, but there's different maybe federal regulations now for collections agencies, so they're not having as much luck with the type of soft billing that we chose as they used to.
Okay.
Something to do with that. So she gave us, I think it was two other collections agencies
I forgot another question. I know
as an option. So
we had 3 or 4 letters.
So the board could decide to, start doing the demand letters and then, sign up with another collection agency.
Yeah, I know when I emailed back and forth with her that there was some that were they do a little bit more on the demanding side for payment, and they will actually report to the credit agencies, so it'll actually show up on your credit report.
That's what these two are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes letters all it takes to.
I thought the one from Caledonia
Mm-hmm.
was the best one.
Okay.
It was polite, but right to the point. The other ones were pretty blunt.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. If that's.
As long as we're taking action.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because there's a bit of money, left out there because some people just decide not to pay. You don't think it's important to. So, we're trying to do this without being a burden on the taxpayers.
Yeah, but this is more about the ones that have received checks and we're not took the
We're not-
checks. So this is
that's a whole.
They've
this
been
is
reimbursed for
them
something
taking
they
advantage of
haven't
the
That's a
system.
whole
paid.
different.
It's
That's
a whole different
ball
animal
of wax
here.
there. So.
But this is fraud.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we've
Well,
got-
it's insurance fraud.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Are they is this one in the village?
No. Sparta.
Maybe the sheriff's department could arrest somebody for fraud.
Oh, is it that one road, that trailer?
Yeah.
Always going for the ride for the MHA issues?
Yeah.
Well,
Heinz Hill or Hiltz?
Yeah.
Hiltz Road.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Experiences with that one have been anywhere from pleasant to wanting to do detang therapy. I mean, when you're nasty to a law enforcement officer, a big one, yeah, I've seen that.
He's always been nice to me. Tell with kindness.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
That's about it.
still have an outstanding contract.
Yep.
Which we're either going to have to extend or approve because we're already over the 60-day cap that we had. I'm sure, I'm assuming you'll still provide ambulance service. Under the arrangement.
We prefer to be able to sign on the dotted line.
Yes.
So, like I said, if you want to do a 1 year again, revisit. We'll see what next year brings. Hopefully we can get some resolution to the comp deal.
Mm-hmm.
And we can get the ship righted. And so,
Agenda for next week.
at some point, getting the higher call coverage is going to start paying off. It takes about 3 months, 2 to 3 months for the billing to cycle through to start seeing that. So that should start coming through here shortly. I'd say probably by next month.
The higher the call volume and the higher the percentage, the more money you're going to make.
Yeah, well, potentially. There's no guarantee that
If the billing goes through properly.
if the billing goes through properly,
And we do pretty good
Yeah.
compared to city EMS when it comes to collecting that.
I think I looked at a report tonight, I think it's about 85%, which is pretty good. So what's killing is the percentage that is Medicaid, Medicare, because there's a cut right off from it, right away. There's a contractual amount that they pay. And we got an awful lot of Medicaid, Medicare.
It's a lot lower than
Maybe there should be a contractual thing with the people who are taking the ambulance call. If they're Medicaid, Medicare, there's a contractual cutoff for them too. I don't know. I just thought. What's that?
Said we wish you could.
Yeah.
Well, inevitably, I mean, it comes down to the end of the day, dollars and cents and fiscal responsibility, and hard to pay people for something that you're not getting paid for.
Well, that's the federal government and their infinite wisdom of saving money. We just won't pay as much out.
Well, it saved money.
Yes, it does.
Okay, anything else, gentlemen?
I just got one more note, just in case any residents stop any of the members of the board or the mayor or even the chief of police or anybody else. New York State Department of Health we're now into place with the new spinal protocols for protecting people's cervical spine or for potential back and neck injuries. Before, you all said everybody was putting a seat collar, put on a backboard, packaged all up nice and tight. That does not happen anymore with the new protocols. You will not see patients transported to hospitals on backboards. You will not see them transported with the full head, neck, and spine immobilizations anymore. So just in case we respond somewhere, we pick a patient up, and they get taken to the hospital complaining of back pain, and we just take them in a seat collar, and they think we're not doing the right thing, just in case anybody comes to anybody in the community and makes mention of that. It is under the new protocol. They can't sue us or you.
Okay.
So they were finding that there's just years and years and years of studies that found that they were less than 2% of people that were presenting with neck or back pain actually had an unstable fracture of their neck and back, and it was rising the cost of medical bills for all that radiation, CTs, and X-rays, where patients really didn't have to have it done. So, but we didn't get rid of the backboards, because in 10 years we'll probably be putting them back on.
Good to know.
We used to have a room full of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Still do. So,
Good enough, thanks, guys.
I'm sorry, I didn't have your report earlier, but I got it to you at the end of the meeting. I can't think of anything that affects the village that isn't on the report. It's been very busy.
Anything new and outstanding?
I have to go to, it's not the village, it's in the town, but I have to go down to LMC every week for routine electrical inspections, framing inspections. I go once a week and hey, I went yesterday and they said, oh, and by the way, we're building an additional building. An additional 30-foot by 80-foot building, and they had already started construction the day before. One of
Beetle Masonry's doing all the masonry down there, huh?
one of the
Beetle Masonry.
one of the contracts that LMC got three huge, or Dansville Properties got three huge, enormous contracts that are going to take the next 2 years at least. And then they got a fourth one that, quite honestly, they call it a minor contract, but it's, you know, as big as any other contract they've ever gotten. And one of it is bringing old pipe in and stripping it, washing it, and everything, and they got the contract. So now they're just on Monday to start building a whole other building for that. They've got more than they know what to do with, and they don't have enough room. With all those buildings down there, with the additions they've done, with the 2 fertilizer buildings and tanks and everything, they still on Monday have to start a whole other building just to pressure wash pipe. It's crazy. They don't have any room at all. When I walk down through there, through the buildings once a week to do inspections, there's people on top of each other. The walkways that were really big are like, you're walking like this. They're doing amazing. There's just, no matter how bad you feel about New York State, Western New York, this community, what the money situations every single person in this community is in, you go down there and you got to feel better because they're doing some wonderful things down there. Just it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, oh my God, we're still there. We're still there. We're gonna make it. So it's all in the town, but it ultimately affects us. They're putting on full-time jobs left and right with full benefits. It's wonderful.
He's gonna run the hose.
Wasn't there some issues that they had to get taken care of with the water? Is that all good, or
Not yet, no.
hate to hear
It
pressure
has to
washing
do with our
stuff?
water and sewer use laws.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you.
The pipe actually isn't as much an issue, I don't think, as the fertilizer plant in our water and sewer use laws, correct?
No, it's washing into the pipe.
Oh,
I
it's
don't know what
washing into the pipe? Okay, the fertilizer isn't, because that's up and running. My goodness, that's a lot. A lot of fertilizer. I mean, the buildings are big, and I've been inside the buildings the whole time, but then when I went in yesterday, and there's actually dry fertilizer in some of the bins, and I'm looking at it going, oh my God, if that let loose, it could bury multiple human beings. And they're like, yeah, that's just one bin. It's 500 tons in one bin, and there's 9 bins in the building. It's crazy. Huge. And their engine stuff, they have engines coming in and going out like 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Right now, they look like a train factory down there. It's crazy. It's good. It's all good. All very good. Oh, Maddie's Motorsports. This isn't a village. Maddie's Motorsports is doing an addition to their showroom. They are hoping to get all the stuff into me to be on April's planning board's agenda. They want to double their showroom size. Yeah.
You know, eventually that's going to take off just due to the fact of what they do over there with the Harley shop, and Arkport had to move, you know what I mean? Once they start putting them in, the more lines they carry. They picked up Can-Am, they picked up the KTM snowcross machine there, they picked up all them different things, and got to have room to show them, so I wouldn't be surprised if sooner or later. I mean, they brought in a ton of those little sheds are down there that they're selling, and hey, amen.
Yeah, I was just over at Arkport a month ago. I believe.
Buy local, buy in the village.
Oh, yeah.
Victory.
Rode over with the guys.
She's changing his Harley for
I got my Harley, what am I gonna do?
I don't think I can think of anything else. I
Anything
think
more?
I already told you guys about 45 Maple Street, right? The
No.
old Western. Okay, thought I somebody.
I see it on there about the Mitsubishi.
Yes, Marina Auto Group has leased the building from Croak Corporation for 1 year. The lease started March 1st. And they're using it as a satellite location. They will not be open all the time, but they are going to, you're going to start seeing cars down there, and the cars will stay there all the time. So they figure.
So we selling cars out of there?
Certain times of the year. But they're,
Oh, this is their way of getting around there.
Yeah, they're all doing it.
Yeah.
Found the
so,
loophole.
Should have bought that building when we had the chance.
they're leasing the building for a full year, they're maintaining cars down there for the full year. They have one guy that apparently stops into the building and has a desk there for the full year and stops in once a week. It's their satellite office.
Now, isn't there an issue with one of the poles there?
Yeah.
Almost we would think that would be a safety issue. They'd have to get that fixed because the concrete thing was laying there for the longest time.
One of the light poles?
Yeah, wasn't there an
It's
issue?
been removed. There's no, it got
Okay.
knocked down.
Yeah.
It's gone. There's no wiring to it.
Okay.
It had the
The stuff still
building.
sticks out of the ground, doesn't it? Bolts and wires. Yeah, because I put a concrete, there was a
Right.
concrete tank, I stuck it
That
over.
wire
it.
doesn't
Yeah.
go anywhere.
And somebody hit
though.
that, knocked it off.
It doesn't. The wire doesn't go anywhere though. It's not live.
No, but they
There's no,
should at
there's
least
no
fix
live
it. I mean,
wires.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like crap.
Yeah.
well, it's not that, it's just somebody drives on it.
Well, if there is electrical wires there.
If the wires aren't live,
I'm not saying they're live.
so
but
therefore there's no violation of New York State Fire Code. If someone were to drive over it and damage their vehicle, it's private property. Marina Auto Group is now liable to take care of it. It's like if somebody falls at your house on your sidewalk.
It's a village sidewalk.
No, I'm figuring your sidewalk right up to your front door. Okay, how's that? I'm sorry.
You walk past no trespassing sign.
There's a law that allows people to approach your house on the main sidewalk up to your porch. Can't get them for that.
And the driveway, I think. I know code.
I wouldn't.
You're allowed to walk up a sidewalk or a driveway, and it's not considered trespassing. So, but so just so that you know, when you see cars there, like left there now, they will be left there. So,
And car dealers are aware of it.
yep. Apparently, this is not the only satellite office that Marina specifically leases on one-year leases from Crow Corporation. Crow Corporation has a building down in Horseheads that Marina has been leasing one-year leases and doing the same thing for 2 years now. So they just picked up this one.
We're lucky.
It's standard policy for them. You know, it's not in our community. We haven't seen it, but it's what they've been
Within
doing.
the law, nothing you do about it.
So
Nor
at
do
any
we want to
rate,
get involved with it.
so just so that you know, you'll see vehicles there, and yes, you will see events. They originally were talking about actually putting up a permanent facade sign on the front of the building, and they've decided not to do that. So, at least not at this time. Because they were afraid that a permanent facade sign would mean people would be knocking on the door 7 days a week, and it's not going to be manned 7 days a week. So, maybe at a later date. I can't think of anything else other than I don't know of anybody trying to skirt our law on adult entertainment. Nobody has come to my office and said I wanted to open adult entertainment in the village of Dansville, other than the, multiple people that have stopped me in the grocery store and went, so we're getting a sex store on Main Street? I don't-
Yeah, Jack's place.
And in all actuality, home video has a back room that they've had since 1980, but it's not in violation of anything. So, any of you? Oh, next week is Springfield Lake Building Officials annual conference. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll be there. And I just found out yesterday that apparently on Wednesday afternoon, they're going to administer a test to all 355 of us. And you have to get a 70 on it or better, or you lose your state certification. So we heard that was coming down the pike. They, every single year since for the 8 years I've been state certified, at some point during the year, we get an email, hey, you've got to report to here and pass a test. Just to get my state certification, I had to pass 6 tests in 6 months. So, you guys have no idea how much they actually test us. Everybody thinks we just sit around making up the laws. No, we have to sit around trying to memorize them because they test us on them all the time. Okay. Anybody got any questions?
You can do it exit 4.
I have not heard anything. Exit 4 is owned by the county. Any of the private land, either owned by Maddie's Motorsports or the Animal Hospital, is, other than Maddie's Motorsports, doubling the size of their showroom. Tim Berlin-Ducey's the architect working on that. So the county's property on the town side, I haven't heard anything. I briefly talked to Denny Vance about it about a month ago. He's like, yeah, the county's, Board of Supervisors wants to try to bring 3 box stores, big box stores in there. And I said, yay, that would be great. Keep in mind, it's in a floodplain. So buildings have to
Don't
be
give them any negative business. Jeepers, you give them positive.
built up
Support
to a
it.
certain height. And there's NYSEG high-power tension lines going right down through the center of the property. So NYSEG says you have to be a minimum of 150 foot away on either side. So that middle strip can only be parking lot. But then
We'll take it.
I don't know if you saw in one of the papers about a month ago, they had like a little schematic of how they thought it could look, and they showed like 8 buildings. And Danny and I were looking at that, and because of the power lines and the floodplain, they could fit 3 box stores, but they couldn't fit the 8 buildings they showed.
Unless
They
you move
will-
the wire.
NYSEG's not going to do that unless we pay to have it done. But
We're not paying.
But
Not in the village yet. Oh, they want to annex that to the in the village. We'd be more than happy to.
Save a lot, even though it's in the town, is benefiting the village. They're doing wonderful. Even though the day before opening, a tractor trailer smashed into the back of the building. I have pictures. You just would look and say, how the hell did that dummy get in that position? But they're doing wonderful. As a matter of fact, the franchisee owner, the day after opening, I was talking to him and his general manager that covers all 9 stores, and they were like, if this even maintains at half its rate, he would talk to the current owner of the plaza about purchasing the plaza, and if he did, then we would see wonderful things happen down there. So he was very
We need stuff in the
impressed.
village.
Right there, it still
Yeah.
helps the village.
Yeah,
It's still
exactly.
helping the people of our village. So, but apparently, this is his 9th store. Our grand opening was the biggest one he's ever had. They were
Because people
overwhelmed.
here are sick of tops.
Because of our income level, as Mayor Voigt's meeting with the county, because of our income level, tops is, will kill us. So, here in the village, sorry. Verizon is moving to the old Radio Shack.
Moving across the parking lot then.
Yeah, but it's double the square footage of what they have right now, the old Radio Shack. So that's a good thing. And I know that the plaza owner is really doing their livid best to find someone to go into the old Radio Shack so that they keep every storefront full. They're really working hard. So, okay, I think that's all I can remember now.
20 Liberty Street, we talked about that again today, still has a pile out behind it that probably, fair to say, would
Yes.
cover the floor space of the office here, and they've had at least some letters, some stuff. So the difficulty there is you got out-of-town landlords that we've had numerous dealings with. I tried to save myself the hassle of actually physically going to Rochester and trying to locate one or both of these owners by sending an appearance ticket in the mail. You know as well as I do, you don't have to answer it that way, but it was worth a shot just to see if they'd show up. They sent back some 3-page letter about how they're a limited liability corporation. They don't have to appear personally and blah, 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 blah. But the stuff got cleaned up that time. And it got taken care of, so the effort was worth it in the long haul. How fast they're going to comply this time doesn't appear that they're going to be very quick at it, so I don't know that excuse of this LLC really covers them or not. I don't know the answer to that. We may be in a position where we have to go get the answer to that from somebody who can tell us, and then see how we can go about tracking getting these two guys.
You don't get to ignore the law. I don't care if it's an LLC or MME or whatever the hell you want to put on the end of it.
So somebody with
Me?
somebody that has the legal responsibility of that knowledge is going to have to make a determination as to whether that's an excuse or we can go after the individuals that show up on tax rolls. So I'm not sure who you might be interested in having chase that down, but that's something to think about.
So our village attorney gets paid for it.
Yeah,
So that's why we appoint him, I should say.
So I guess what we'll do is, maybe next week you can come up with a direction of travel that you want to go should our next barrage of threats not fly, and we have to go the next step.
It's 20 Liberty.
Yep.
It's Sky Apartments LLC, they're also on 117 Main Street.
Yeah. Dirt pig. Okay. List of things to do. That it?
Yeah.
Any
Aye.
word from Matthews Bus?
No,
That's what I'm
haven't
saying.
heard anything more.
I do know that they're
They came
interested in
into-
building a new building.
Yes, they came into my office and got the application for the planning board for site plan approval. I gave them the single-page application for the planning board along with the 4-page questions that the planning board wants answers to that on the site, listed out on the site plan. I gave all that to
Aaron Morrow.
Aaron, I guess it was last Friday. And I told him when we'd need it if they wanted to be on this month's agenda, and he said, yeah, that's not going to happen. So
Where's this building going to be?
Right across from the school.
they purchased a piece of land from Kevin Kilborn.
Mhm.
It's the grassy overgrown field between the insurance
Yeah, I know where you are.
and the church, and they want to build apparently a one-story office building right there. So the dilemma is, I know this is odd because all we have there are like public assemblies and an office building, but it's actually zoned low density residential on our zoning map. So I said, go ahead and just let's go to the planning board, and the planning board's going to, as soon as it goes before the planning board, because in low density residential you can't put an office building. But the other buildings that are there were built prior to me. I don't know how they got through. There's nothing in their files telling me. So I said, get the stuff in, we'll go before the planning board, and the worst the planning board can say is you have to go before the zoning board of appeals at the same time as you're going through our board for zoning board of appeals to say you can have an office building in low density residential. So it's not like we can
What's the process for rezoning?
Well, you can't rezone a single parcel of property. You'd have to rezone the whole strip.
That's spot zoning.
If you wanted to rezone the entire strip as it stands, it's currently LR, low-density residential, wanted to rezone it to general business, it would be this board having a public hearing and then voting on it and rezoning, changing the zoning on it.
But that would fit then.
And then filing it with the county, make sure you file it.
But
with
that
the
would
county.
still fit, right? Because, I mean, there's no low density,
There are, the low density residential starts at Circle and goes all the way to the town line. Starts at Circle Road and goes all the way to the town line. So that does encompass 3 single-family homes and the motel, which are residential. But here's the thing, all of our zoning categories, whether it be central business, general business, or light industrial, which is any one of those three, well, it can't be central, that's business district, but general business or light industrial, which would then allow all of those things that are down through there to be there without a variance. Both general business and light industrial say right in them, you can have single-family homes. So you can have a single-family home in any zoning district. So actually to rezone that strip, you wouldn't be affecting 3 single-family homes that are already existing there. If anything, you'd make it so that if they wanted to sell, the property would be worth more because a business could buy it, tear down the single-family home, and build a business. So
Win-win.
So it would be something that's all on you guys to just decide you want to rezone it. I can print you out our existing zoning map that we have. You decide how you want it rezoned, set a public hearing. After the public hearing, decide on it, and then file it with Livingston County. And once it's filed with Livingston County Planning Board, they send me the official map, and then I can work by it. You guys want me to print you out current zoning maps and mark out that spot and have it for you for Tuesday?
That's where it's headed.
Okay, I will do so.
I mean, from what I'm understanding, it's about $1 million building they're looking to put up,
I don't know.
is what was thrown around, and at $12.99 $1,000, that's $13,000 a year added into the tax. And it's an empty field.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, even if you didn't rezone it and the planning board said they had to go to the zoning board of appeals, there's no way the zoning board of appeals is going to turn it down. They can't, because there's a church on one side and a business on the other already. They've got to allow the business. If they denied it, people could go after them for an Article 78. So it would be approved through the zoning board, but to save them the process, if you guys rezoned it, then they wouldn't have to. So I'll print you out the zoning map and you'll have it for Tuesday.
How long does it take them to go through the zoning board of appeals? Like if they wanted to go that route?
3 months, the same as the planning board. 3 months. They have 1 meeting a month. It takes a minimum of 2 meetings, plus the cooling off 30 days prior to.
Can it be done concurrently?
They can, and they normally, if any time that is needed to be, it is done. So, as a matter of fact, I think we did that with the sewer treatment plant. The purchase of the property was smaller than the allowable size, so you had to go through the zoning board while it was going through the planning board at the same time. So, yeah. It would. It's probably really no harm leaving it LR, but in the long run, it's a smarter thing to change the entire strip that's currently LR to. Honestly, I would make it not just general business, which is B2. I would recommend B2/light industrial.
What's that what is light industrial? Because you got a school there,
Well, Agway,
and you don't need industry across from a school.
Agway, light industrial. Heavy industrial is like Foster Wheeler.
I understand
Light
that.
industrial is Agway, Rogers and Pembroke, Skips Flooring. That's light industrial.
What's Forbes?
Forbes is light industrial. Yes. That's light industrial. So
Probably
right,
Matthews Buses is light industrial.
where they currently are is in light industrial. So right now, where they currently are is light industrial, and their property joins up to the LR. The LR is just the strip of parcels right there on Main Street across from the school, from Circle to the town line. And then at the town line, that's light industrial on the town side. It's kind of odd how that strip got left LR. It is the smarter thing to go B2/LR. Aye, light industrial. Okay, you're all thinking and not saying
Okay.
anything.
No, just give us the paperwork, we look at
Yeah,
it.
we'll take your recommendation.
Okay, okay.
Okay, great, thanks.
Y'all done with me? Okay. Dave's here, I get you too. Okay, thanks.
The cars are being striped in Buffalo. Waiting for installers to get back to me with estimates. What else? Then we'll be checking the civil service list for police officers. Yeah, you know, it's difficult to say the least. It's always.
Got good candidates that just have not have the
Oh
academy.
my God, you know, if I, you know, probably shook my head for 2 hours after I went through that list because I just do not accept the fact that you have to hold someone's hand. I guess I'll tell you better. When they send out the test scores, they also send you a form that your doctor signs that basically says you're not going to have a heart attack if they give you the physical agility. If they make you go do push-ups, sit-ups, and run, then you're not going to die. So you fill that form out, you send it back. You send that back, and then that puts you on to go take the physical, the agility portion. Now we're looking for applicants to be police officers that are going to fill out tons and tons and tons of paperwork yearly, let alone career-wise. I refuse to accept the fact that I have to call a 21 or older person to tell them to get their doctor to fill out that piece of paper and send it back. I just refuse that that's an acceptable portion. If they can't do that, then the rest of this stuff is way beyond. So if somebody's interested in the blow-by-blow, person by person, stop down to see me, and I'll give you the blow-by-blow, person by person. So I will leave it with this as of right now. It is difficult to say the least. It appears, from the personnel girl I talked to today, that they had a pile of people that they were sending out for agilities, the push-ups, set-ups, run. If you didn't get your doctor slip in by last Friday, you're not part of that pile. And I stood there while an applicant came in with his late, and the other girl accepted it, handed it to the girl I talked to, and the girl I talked to said, no, it goes in the other pile. So he's not getting his physical agility right now. He might get it later if this list falls apart, but he's not going to get it in the first round. The woman who works there that I've always had, they're all very helpful. But Lorraine she's always been the person who's steered me in detail the direction to go. Her day off today. So when she's back to work, I will find out from her how soon they think these agilities are going to be done. And then we can find out from that who, if anybody, passed the agilities that applied here and came up high enough on the list and all that good stuff. And then be able to make another decision as to whether we really have an opportunity to find someone to fill Sheena Schaefer's position as a full-timer, or if we're going to have to just go through all the same effort and training for someone who's a part-time person or part-timers to make up enough hours. Which, you know, it would not be unusual to have to hire 3 part-time people to make up one person's full-time 40 hours, and then you're talking triple the equipment, triple the training, triple the potential of not being dedicated to this place and whatever other jobs they have, triple the number of people who, when they, you know, get their experience and training here, that are applying for everybody else. So I will keep you informed as time goes by as to how this next step with the personnel office works out, so that we know which way we are going to get the most bang for our buck and not be wasting our time.
With that being said, when would you even, let's say, best guesstimation, before you're really going to be able to put anybody on, you're probably looking at the next fiscal year budget anyways, correct? I mean, because we're already in March, we got April and May, and then we're in the next budget. So, I mean, we're probably looking at the next budget anyways, correct?
I'm guessing they probably won't get the agility out for 2 weeks. I'm guessing they won't be able to tell us how the agility turned out for 2 weeks after that. That puts us into middle of April.
So you got middle of April, you got to make sure your background's done. You're still looking at the 1st of June.
Right. Yeah.
Start time anyways.
That's right, fair to say.
Okay.
That's right, fair to say.
How much money is left in Sheena's line?
Everything that she left with. everything that was left when she left.
Approximately, do you know what approximately her budget line left is? Because we haven't touched that, correct?
They're 26.5.
26.5. I've heard that number before.
40%, 45%.
Thought that's what a vehicle cost us.
Well, there's probably room for another conversation on that. Well, I think the budget process is coming up, so I'm sure we'll probably have conversations.
I don't want to talk about it next year. We said when they got this one in,
Yeah.
if we had the money, we would immediately order the other one, and I know we're coming up with 26.5.
Yeah, I mean,
Happy times, Chief.
no, I mean,
Well, I mean, hey, if we don't utilize this budget money now, you're not gonna. It's gonna go away.
Megan and I have been talking about overtime.
What was the fund balance?
Fund balance.
But you can use
You
it.
can take out anytime you want.
Well,
That's where my backhoe money sits, fund balance.
that's probably where it's going to stay.
Probably right.
And Megan and I have been discussing the overtime as to where we stand with that.
That's on my list.
And considering the fact of how things have been, which isn't rosy,
Which is you working 70-some hours a week.
I covered, Officer Fall wasn't planning on his father's illness and hospitalization, so I covered his sick day. I covered Officer Burley's strep throat sick day. I covered Officer Chapman's day off, vacation day, and I covered Officer Grease's military time, of which, obviously, the military time was planned. Chapman's day off was planned, so I was going to cover 2 to 7, and then I was going to cover 2 to 3, and then when Officer Burley called in sick, and he didn't want to, we fought back and forth on emails back and forth about the fact that, I know you, Larry, if you're thinking about being sick, it's because you're sick. You're not. I know he'll come to work sick. So we fought back and forth. I won the argument, so I stayed and covered his shift till 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. And when Officer Fall called up Wednesday night late and said, hey, I didn't realize my father's operation was as involved as it is. Could I really have tomorrow off? I'll cover it. So yeah, it was a long week, but that's not uncommon.
Until you get sick.
Right. So there are days where I try to compensate accordingly, but we're all grown men down there, and we pay attention to our health, and we take care. And if I needed something, the guys would pitch in and take care of it for me, which they will probably end up doing in May because I got a couple weeks vacation, which it's high hopes of using. But as long as I have high hopes, I'll probably get a couple days of it. So, but as far as the overtime goes, we've done. I think we still got 31% of our overtime, considering what we've been doing. And I don't know, does this take into account the budget mods of the money we've gotten in or not?
No, because those I just submitted for this month. So that's what, a couple thousand
More.
more that will go back in
We've
there.
got some reimbursement from DWI, overtime that we used on the grant. We got some reimbursement from the DRE, the drug recognition expert that we sent Jeff out to do for other departments. That's been reimbursed. There's a couple $1,000s more that offset this as well. So
Will that be enough to get you through to the end of the fiscal year?
yeah, the way we're doing it right now.
Because I know there's like a little league season right around the corner that someone isn't going to want to work 70 hours a week because I think you got maybe a little guy that you like to go down there. I mean, your availability is going to come to a little bit tighter, right?
Well, actually,
Yes.
Little League joined.
And I don't blame them. You're going to go do your family thing.
Probably not. Well, I'm probably going to go to some school games if they don't make cuts. Chase has decided he doesn't want to play. Lily had to go with a baby without Hornell.
Yeah.
So there's 13, 14, 15-year-olds all on the same team. My 13-year-old playing with my 13-year-old skill level playing. I hope this doesn't go over there. My 13-year-old level skill level is good, but playing against some 15-year-olds that are probably great, not wise. He recognizes that. Get him have good conversations about your limitations. So in change, he's been asked to jump on the modified team for school, which is more in his bracket. So we'll see how that plays out. If that doesn't play out, then he's going to have to suffer a 15-year-old throwing a really fast pitch and just deal with it. But I'm not coaching.
Oh.
I'm not going to coach this year. Unless my grandson, who's on the T-ball team, wants a little extra help, but I'll filter that in around. Because it's time to start doing that for the next 12
Not
months.
that you've got to explain it to us.
Yeah, but
I just know that you get more busy this time of year than you usually do.
You're absolutely right, and it was a real tough time last year, and I appreciate the thought, but as it stands right now, we should be able to get through. We'll know for sure at the end of this month, but we have done very, very well on the overtime considering the circumstances. very well. See if there was something else. Oh, on the whole hiring thing, training-wise, I don't know if I mentioned last month because I don't remember if it was the month before, but Officer Grease and Officer Chapman went to the ARID training, basically the advanced roadside. Did I mention that already?
Yep.
Okay, stick that in there. And not next week, but the week after, Officer Grease and Officer Burley are going to the field training officer school. So whenever we have somebody that we hire, they can help with the training. So that's 1 week, and yeah, I'm covering their shifts for them, so they're gone. I'm sure the people are helping out too, but so we'll get that done. So they've got those certifications under their belt. The buzzer for the panic alarm thing, my advice is to go, I think we should just go with an alarm that activates interiorly and you hear it inside. I think that's the way to go. That's my advice. I'll keep soliciting other people's opinions. I spoke with a guy for the county. They have one office that had it that way, who wanted it back to a silent. They have another office that still has it that way, and they love it that way.
Do you have a price on that?
I don't, because as soon as you know which way you want to go,
I have no problem. We need a price, really.
I'll start beating some airs as to what that system would cost to basically do it'd be the same thing as what would happen with the fire alarm now. You pull the fire alarm, it activates in here, announces it to everybody, but it would not transmit outside the building. It would just, the employees would be trained to jump on their cell phones and call 911. And if everybody does their job at any given day, you probably, during business hours, you probably have 6, 8, 10, 12 people all calling 911 at the same time.
So who would install that? Just like an alarm company?
Yeah.
We'll just put a fire alarm next to your desk.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
We just want a different.
Turns the sprinkler on, cools everyone out. First thing you do is you go like this.
I just wanted like
Better
put it
put one in the
under my
mayor's
desk
office.
Yeah.
so that they don't see me reaching for it.
Well, you'll probably be under your desk, so that'd be the best place to grab it.
Well, either way, it will be
No,
nice to have something in my
I
office. Either way that we go.
Yep.
Yeah, I think internal or whatever, I just think we just need to get a price so we can get moving on it.
See if I can find a couple companies that are hopefully.
ADT probably.
Yeah, and this West alarm that the county uses a lot, so we'll see if those two give us something.
But I like the alarm sound idea better than.
The silent thing.
They'll either take you hostage or they'll run.
Yep.
Most people, when met with any sort of resistance, give up and bolt.
Take the bolt.
No, that's my take on it.
Yep. So as soon as they hear that,
I'm here.
I mean, if they want to get you, they're going to get you. Yeah, I mean.
If you've really made them that angry, you probably haven't.
Right?
Probably not her, just
Probably-
Karen. Just
there's
Karen.
That's everyone.
That's right, it pays. I agree with you. Build up that political currency. It pays off in the long haul.
When did the car go in and get striped, Charlie?
Friday. Yeah, Friday. So they called today and said it was ready. We said great. We'll see when we get there to get it.
was it in Buffalo?
Vinyl Signs Plus. It's a Buffalo address. I thought it was closer to Amherst, but
Should contact FM Communications, see if they can do the.
well, it's funny how you bring that up. I'm sitting here thinking, who else can I call? So that we had many years of good experiences with them. We had 1 year of very bad experience, and we got away from them. But I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm not having good experience with other people either. So I guess it's time to reach out to them and see what they'll do for me. We ordered all the equipment. I decided to have it shipped here because who knows where it's going to show up. I was going to ship it to an installer, assuming how hard would it be. But, I kind of look at it like my own home. If I call up a plumber or a roofer, 3-4 roofers, and say, hey, come give me estimates, and they don't get back to me, I'm not calling them up to say, are you still interested in my work? They've made their decision. I'm not going to call up somebody who's basically going to, oh, yeah, that's right, I do owe you an estimate. No, you don't anymore. I give you a couple weeks. You don't give me an estimate, then you really don't care about my job, and I'm not interested in you anymore. We'll move on to the next guy.
The good part about FM Communication, you walk in and say, I want that, and that. They'll tell you what it's going to cost. You say, great, put it on.
Yeah, we used them for years.
We used to use them.
Yep. So I've been at one, and I got it. I made an appointment to go get it striped when the installers who actually wanted to inspect the car had all inspected the car. So once they had all inspected it and seen it with their own two eyes as to knowing exactly what they were going to get into, and they were handed a sheet of the equipment that was going to be installed, okay, and so the last installer looked at it not this past Monday, but the Monday before. And then it was a matter of trying to find when was the time to actually drive it, get it up there. And it'd still be here today if it wasn't for my wife. So my wife made sure it got there because I didn't have a ride back. So she followed me, and
Did you get lunch out of the deal or anything?
she did. So she followed me up, got me home next day. Decided to take a little time for ourselves while we were up there, which was quite frankly a waste. We had dinner. Dinner was good. We could get back home. And she's probably going to be my ride back again. So, because the schedule's tight, you guys are busy. So,
We could pay her out if she was on here.
she
No, you
reminded
can't,
me.
'cause we got 26.5 we want to talk about.
She reminded me that we owe her gas money, so we'll probably see a voucher for mileage. So, and like I said, they thought they had it done today, but when we looked at the pictures, they've got to a couple corrections.
Did the EWI sticker on the back?
No, that's going to be the easy part.
Sorry, I just had to
No,
bring it up.
yeah, no, I left them a copy. Well, I left them. There it is. I left them one, but I left theirs in color. So, and we talked about it today, and they're like, "Yeah, no problem. We'll get that done." And well, what happened is I didn't. Not that it's a big deal to us, but I didn't see a difference between the two cars. But apparently, when Ford made the new 16s, they dropped the handle down. So where it used to say Dansville Police and 4-inch letters across the bottom, doesn't fit. It's this big. So they put it up above, which is fine. But that means it's in the way of the Ford emblem. So it says Dansville, 7 letters across here, Police, 5 letters across here. It looks tacky as all hell. It's all unbalanced. We're like, we can't take it like that. That looks silly. And they're like, well, we could take that, and we do it for other places. We can put a plate in there and go right over the top. It's like, well, yeah, you have for us. So, okay, we'll redo it for you. So we're redoing it. So,
Nothing's easy.
no. So, we'll bring it back as soon as we can. Not that it really matters until I would love to bring it back and drop it right to where it's going to go to get the equipment installed, but we won't know who that is until someone actually gives us an estimate. I think the procurement policy is at 2 or 3 estimates that we have to have.
I think it's 3, isn't it? Do you remember,
I
Scott?
thought it was 3.
I think it's 3.
We technically
Yeah.
have 1 right now.
When do we have the one?
1075 out of Elma. $2,700. That's
I know, but you know what?
Only 2 for that price. No, I saw you had 2 estimates.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's Steve, boy, I'll tell you. Because I talked to Jeff Gillard today, who did the car last year. And he says, I'll do it for the same I did last year. And I said, well, I think that was like 1,020, wasn't it? Oh, I don't know. Send me what you need and I'll take care of it. I said, well, when are you back home? He says, well, like I told you, the end of March. Which, maybe
We're almost there.
well, and by the time the equipment arrives, it could be the end of March. So he might be the guy. And, and he did a good job with this car. So, but, I'm waiting for the guy in Kastner and Canandaigua to send me back a thing. I'm waiting for another guy to send me back a thing.
Can't somebody around here do it? Is that harder?
Nobody around here does it. I asked all the departments where they get theirs done.
Who's the guy that did Faw's vehicle?
1075. Geneseo takes theirs to Toronto. They go up on a Wednesday, they stay the night, and they bring it back on Thursday. $1,800.
I don't think we're going to be doing that.
I'm going to Toronto on Saturday.
There you go. Take your car with you.
Which one?
I need the gas card.
Exactly.
You got about 12 hours to get it done, because that's how long we're
That's how
be
you
there.
do it there? Yeah, I don't know how long it takes. So that's where Geneseo does it. It's like, okay, that's good for you guys, I guess. But I'd like to stay a little closer to home if we can. Not for nothing. I've seen you've probably seen, I don't know if anybody's seen when they do those cars, you couldn't pay me to do it. I mean, everything is torn out. Everything. The seats are gone. All the panels on the backs and the fronts are all gone. The dash is out. I don't know
So
how
they
they put
basically
that
strip
back
it right down.
together. Yeah, I don't know how they put it back together.
Why don't they have cars that just come together?
They do.
They're starting to do that.
They do. They got the ready for road package, but the problem is Ford charges you so much, it's
Yep.
still cheaper for you to go buy your own crap and put it on there.
Yep.
Because we've looked at that.
Yep, I keep reading
We
that.
call it the ready for road package. And then, it's what somebody else perceives looks nice, not what you would perceive, and then the installers, even the factory, install it differently. And that's why you want to try to find an installer, and that's why we went away from Jimmy's Sales and Service, was because whoever was available that day, they stuffed on the car to have them do the car. Well, the problem is when you have a problem with the lighting, if it's done different every time, there's so many wires, like they rip it all apart. You can't ever figure out where the problem is. So that's why you want to try to stay with the same installer, so all cars are the same.
And I don't know what your experience is, but our experience has been when you have a problem with wiring, how you find out about it is when you go out and turn it on and the battery's dead. And you get a new battery, and it kills that battery. And now you're putting out $80 to $85 a battery 3 times before all of a sudden you realize and can track down where the problem is.
That's what happened with the last car.
Yeah.
New one.
Yep. So
What happened to the one that was out in the back parking lot?
it's at the water plant. I went and flip-flopped that with the one I took. So I
You got your
had
one?
to
That's
walk.
good.
Yeah, I had to jump start it. I mean, it jump starts. You just don't know when you turn it off if it'll start back up again. And I just can't see putting even $5 into it at this point. We're managing, and the guys went to court one day, so they took the new car. So we're managing. We got a traffic grant coming up here another week or so, but between different people's military duty and things like that, we only have 8 hours to use, and the guys that are working will make it up and cover it, and I'll help them cover it. So we'll get by with the 3 cars for that too.
Now, the purchasing of this car, is that price still honorable?
Probably is, but I'm a little disappointed in Henderson. Now, I learned a lesson with this that I never had to learn before, and that was, like when I buy my own cars. You go to a salesman and you hope that they're going to basically coach you through different things. Houses, you hope they're going to coach you through different things and what's this and what's that. I have never had to specify fleet keys. I have never had to specify spotlights. It's just always been, it's a police car. How hard is it to figure out that police cars come with spotlights and the keys are all the same? Jim Grew handled it in DeLacy. Chris handled it in Van Bortle. Pete handled it in Warnock. Never had a problem. 9 cars down over a dozen years. Everything always came the way I wanted it. Yep. These guys sent us a car. No fleet keys, no spotlight. Well, those are options you have to specify. Really? I'm working with
cheaper, Trevor.
I guess so. I guess maybe. So it's probably still an honorable price, but I probably would, I'd have to specify if Henderson's is the way to go again, that they're going to have to tweak a couple things.
Well, the fleet key would be probably a no charge.
It's cheap, $3 a key, but the spotlight really irks me. It's a police car, for God's sake, so I guess you're never too old.
Mine showed up without being a fleet key, and they wanted it to be a fleet key.
Really?
Mine's an individual, but I didn't get the spotlight either. But I was looking for one.
I'm looking for one. I was looking for one. I compensated with the light we have on. The roof light we have will have more takedown lights on it, and it's less money than the one it's a newer model with the lighting that should compensate for the spotlight, and it's less money than the one we bought the last time, so it should be good. But it still hurts me because I had a lot of conversations with that girl.
But that brings me to the whole, there's $26,500 sitting there that if it's not going to get utilized out of this budget, we can get the other car ordered, get one coming, and with the money's in there for a budget modification, take care of at least the car itself and get it here.
We would
Because
just
I
need
think-
to be invoiced before the end of the year so that we can put it on this budget.
And I'm sure that they can get the paperwork taken care of or whatever. Because that was what we were told, is maybe we would do it for next year, but if the money's there this year, then I say we utilize it so that's something we don't have to utilize for next year. Because I heard that it wasn't in the new budget. I haven't looked at the new budget packet yet, but I heard that the new car was not in the.
What I did with the new budget, trying to help, is I budgeted half of it. Figuring we would all discuss, and I would know more as the budget process went on as to what the conditions of our cars over another few weeks would be like. So that's why I budgeted half of it for this upcoming year. With the other theory, the other half would be 2007, June of 2017.
Well, the idea is that when you get down to it, we would have a better idea within the next few weeks probably what we would have left, which we obviously have already. And then you could increase the amount for your new car and just use some of the fund balance for that, which is essentially what we're thinking about, but we want to do it ahead of time.
Yeah, just like with this one, if you did the budget mod, you could get the car right here, and then what he's got with the half is going to be able to be plenty enough to equip it and do whatever.
Either way will work. I mean, it can,
And then that way it's out of this budget, and it clears up a little bit of money in the next year's budget for a part-timer.
Use it for the backhoe.
Well, either way, I mean, this here sets the money, and you know that we're not going to be able to hire anyone before the end of the fiscal, before the end of this fiscal year. Budget mod it and order that car. Your thought, Deputy Mayor? You're quiet.
Taking it all in, Dan. Taking it all in.
You gonna let any of that back out?
Well, I say if the money's there, if we didn't spend it,
Well, we said we'd wait till the end of the year. This is more or less the end of
this
the year.
is towards the end of the fiscal year, and it's a good time to be talking about it. Right?
Yeah. If the money's sitting there, it's not going to be used.
I could get, over the next, depending on, over the next couple of weeks, I get to have a little more information on how the list looks as far as the agility and how that's turning out. I'll have, I'm not sure what else. I mean, not that that's going to change it. That's really not going to change it a ton between now and June 1st still.
But I think there's still an underlying issue that we talked about that needs to be addressed on that. But this is something that, even with your own, your own math, I mean, it still puts you close to the beginning of June anyways.
It does anyways.
And so now you just say, okay.
Especially the fact, I'm busy, we've got lots to do,
Yeah.
so there just isn't a lot of time to go out. Even if I had somebody today that was the person we want, that's the person we're focusing on, it would probably be close to 3 weeks before I could come back to you and tell you I've got a background check that's I'm comfortable and confident in.
No, 3 weeks.
So, I mean, you're looking, so even at the best of circumstances, I don't have someone, I don't have
So
anybody.
you're looking in April,
Yeah.
best,
At best.
and probably more like May, reasonable,
Right.
and hiring by June is probably more feasible. And that's kept it in the back of my head since that night. And I want, well, it's best for your guys and you down there. They have the right. I mean, that other car is not in great shape.
No, it's not. No.
It's not reliable. It's not. I guess I mean, we don't have to fight that one. We fought that battle before. I guess you fought the law and the law won, but.
And the one I got.
Order it. What are we waiting for?
Well, I don't know. I got.
Put a vote out here. Let's get it over.
No, we're not voting tonight.
Well, I'll bring it up again on Tuesday.
That's fine. Everybody can digest it between now and then, but we already did say we would do, at the end of the year, if we had the money, we would go ahead.
And the money wouldn't be there otherwise, other than the fact that Sheena's position is still wide open, and there's money sitting there that hasn't been used. His overtime budget looks like something that's probably going to be able to be sustainable through the end of the year. 30-some% still
I'll do that
left.
calculation by Tuesday.
And as long as we're going to be in that thing, that's the price. I think it was $26.55. Is
Something like that. I think I still have it.
Put it towards the new budget.
I say you get it ordered because you know what? It's going to take 3 months for it to be delivered. And then you've still got
Go through this
Some of it-
evolution.
3 months to get it ready.
Some of y'all have some of it already lined up. I'll know a little bit more faster this time than I do now. I'll be a little smarter this next round than I am.
Might get it done in a month or two. Huh?
Yeah.
So, well, now you know, hey, this is what we got to have. The new budget year's going to be here. You can order the stuff, have it delivered right to wherever you're going to have it done.
Yeah.
Drop the car off, and away you go.
Maybe in another year or two, they're pretty quick. You don't get one. You're going to get into 17s, will be out. You won't be able to get a 16.
That's true too.
Then you'd be waiting until September, October.
well, we should be purchasing at a frequency that allows us to replace on, say, a 2-year frequency or whatever makes sense, and not that we can't purchase, over a 2-year period, 2 of them. But does that fit with the replacement?
That's what we were always on. We were always on a 2-year.
2-year replacement, right?
I did 205, 207,
But we'll be
209.
purchasing back-to-back vehicles,
Yeah, because we did 205, 7, 9. We skipped 11, which has caused us the difficulty.
right?
And now we got a 14 and a 16. So we actually lost 18 months.
But with 3 new vehicles, you have a better chance of, especially when it's set up the same, you can manage that fleet out for your 6 years.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait 8 years to get rid of a car. You can get it done in 6 or 7 if
Yeah.
you need, whatever the cycle would require.
Well, then now we would say, okay, let's say that half year is next year, and then he holds that money over to the following year, we can get another half car. That would replace the fourth car,
Oh, it's so
which would be a
different
2-year
than,
gap. So,
looking at the ambulances, what we're doing there, I mean, it's the same basic approach.
yeah.
So it's just
We've
something to
long
keep in the
cycled.
back of your minds, is that we're purchasing these, and it all makes sense. There certainly is a strong need for them, but we ought to be thinking, what is going to be the replacement frequency, and build that into our thought processes. That's all.
Yeah,
And
I
as
have.
long as we keep going there, and we don't have a skip year,
Right, that's
all of a
where-
sudden the skip year becomes a 2 or 3 or 4 year period, and we find ourselves right back to where we were.
We got to avoid that.
Right. Yep. That's all.
that was my
And just
concern.
to build on that, I know the county's going through the process right now of purchasing cars. And there's maybe a way you can piggyback their purchase because they're purchasing multiple cars, which may knock the price down some.
Could ask and see.
And I know that they just pick colors and stuff out for unmarks and whatnot. So that's always a possibility to piggyback them, and then it's a quicker and done deal and just.
Yeah, I can see
And I know that,
We know this is a crusade that Trustee Rittenhouse is on. That's
that.
okay.
Yeah.
but
Well, no, we've got
Get that next new
we got
car.
some vehicles down there that are perfectly honest, rather humble looking.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right there.
And
I've seen a couple go by and I go, or seen a one go by and go.
I know.
and that one that's been out and back, that, got up at the water plant.
thank God it's there because it was blending in with the dumpsters. I drove by once and I go, oh, they got 2 dumpsters out there. Oh no, that's the other car.
I found my touch-up paint, so I'm going to start spray painting mine hopefully this weekend if the weather's good.
Well,
Man, in the shop, I got about 8 cans down here.
Before the weight deal. So I'm going to try to touch that one up.
Well, I will be bringing this back up, and if there's any, send an email out if anyone has any, whatever. If there's any other talk about it.
I just need to look at some numbers just to make sure that we're heading the right. I mean, we're heading in the right direction. Not a problem there, but I just want to look at some numbers first.
I don't know what direction we're gonna head it.
Well,
Down the road.
I believe the police
Yeah.
department's been headed in,
The
well,
wrong
their
direction.
shit has been heading in the southerly direction for a long time, and it's time to start heading it back in the northerly direction. At least equipment-wise. But hey, we've all heard this before.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard that there was a grant or something for cameras in the building. Is that something the village got or the town?
No, that was the court.
Okay.
Court bought those. I shouldn't say the court bought them.
They got the
The
grant.
town bought them.
Now,
The
who's?
court applied for them.
Because I seen Greg Hoare the other day, and he said, "Well, I thought that was the villages." And I go, "It's a town building."
That was the one I told you about a month ago.
Yeah.
Right.
That when it came in, we would sign it over to the town
Okay.
because it's for their building. Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's all going for the one purpose. Who claims it? Not really important. I don't think as long as we have it.
Because he said something, I was like, kind of caught me off. I'm like, I thought we.
Denny man, I'd talk to him. He's only the deputy supervisor. Yeah, but there is a grant for security, court security. Have you seen that check?
Yeah,
Okay, you signed it over to them?
it's vouchered for this month's
Okay.
report to sign
All
up.
right. That's right, you did tell me you had to go through the system.
Well, I had talked with Denny.
No, it comes
Yeah.
in, it's us, we take care of it, then we have to make out the,
Yeah, that's all, just
Yep,
to
no
have all the
problem.
paperwork.
I just wasn't thinking for a second.
But the guys are doing good and they're helping out each other. I mean, yesterday I got, I'm covering the road and I got a mental health at 1 o'clock that has to go to Warsaw. So Shannon was in it too, but he came in early and did a drive. Today, this afternoon, Shannon's working that shift by himself. He's got a mental health at 117 Main Street that has to go to Strong. Larry was going to be in at 7 to do the court. He came in at an hour and a half, 2 hours early to make the drive to Strong. So, the guys are all helpful. There's plenty of static in town to deal with, so they're all doing what they're supposed to be doing.
So we ain't busy right now because with the warm weather, something brings
This
out
weekend
the
should be-
rocks and overturn and they all crawl out.
It's just, there's always something. I mean, I'm working Sunday afternoon and a woman gets punched in the town tavern. It's just, there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. I mean, it's just a busy town.
Town tavern.
By another woman or
Didn't
by
knock her
a guy?
teeth out. We shouldn't have
By
any.
another woman.
That seems to be the case in the bars.
The night
The
before, we had
women
another
knock
guy-
out the women.
I was working Saturday night, we had another guy down the ground, kicking the crap out of him, and then I was down on Washington Street for a guy who was so intoxicated. He has a 6-year-old son. He couldn't care for himself, let alone a 6-year-old, so that's going to result in charges. And then we got another guy out.
It's like endangering the welfare of a
Yep.
child, minor.
Another guy's got clearly a lot of mental health reasons. We got an order of protection for the family, and he's up there on their porch flipping them off and banging on their doors.
Paper does a lot of good, doesn't it?
So,
It's an additional charge.
yeah, additional charge. So,
If there's not a murder in between.
Give me some overtime. Call for assistance.
As long as the wife doesn't get a beating, it's
Like that
okay.
guy
Yeah.
on TV tonight.
You kidding me, Charlie? Gonna be like, send anyone with their Rittenhouse.
How do you go through 48 suspensions?
That was news a week ago. Some guy was driving with 16 suspension. I'm like, that's nothing.
I think Larry got that one. Larry got one like that here like 2 weeks ago or so. He found a stolen car down at Noise too, so we're trying to get that guy that came up from Florida to pick that up today.
At noise?
Yeah.
It's a very heavily traveled hospital. You know, someone was looking for a frontal lobotomy.
We know who we're looking for. Now it's just a matter of finding him. We got the evidence to know who it was. He's got charges for stolen cars, assault, attempted murder. He's quite a
Nice guy.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll be over the house for some
Minor stuff there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's plenty to do.
That it?
That's it.
Okay, budget, finance, and audit. You're on board there, buddy.
Hey. Well, as you know, hey, well, we know Brian was in today.
Yes,
Did he make it through the reports today, or?
yes.
Okay. I'll be putting out, like I have been the last couple meetings,
You know
an
what?
update.
Somebody brought these in for me, and all of your guys' folders are still in here. I was looking at you like, why don't you have them? That's why.
Yeah, I brought him in because they were sitting out in the hall.
And then I wasn't even, I wasn't
You
even
give him
thinking.
the line down there by the courtroom.
Because I didn't carry them in, and that's
Didn't
why
want to
you
leave
guys.
anything in the hallway.
All right, there you go.
Thank you.
You can look through these real quick.
Throw 'em in the
Thanks.
pile.
So I will look through these. I'll send out a snapshot of at least what gets my attention, and get back to me with any questions, or either myself or Megan.
Okay.
And we'll try to answer your questions or respond to them between now and next Tuesday. I know that you have some budget mods.
Yes, for the general fund and the water fund. So you should have access to those now. They're in your folders. Did you want me to go over them real quick?
Would you please?
Yes. For the general fund, Charlie had mentioned already, for the Stop DWI reimbursement, that's a reimbursement on the guy's overtime. So we just moved that from the revenue code back to the expenditure line item. We do that every year. And then there is one, the next one is for the code clerk. And then there's an email on the back of your paper. I don't have it on mine, but there's an email that's copied onto the back of your paper that explains that. That's from Tammy. Dick, I think you got that email. So that's just basically explaining that there's not enough money in the line item to keep Sharon on through the remainder of the fiscal year. So in order to keep her on, she wants to keep her on at 10 hours a week. She's looking to move money from other line items into that line item.
She'd already talked to me about it. It's your money. You want to move it around a little bit, move it around. But she could certainly use the help over there when it comes to the paperwork.
Oh, and then the court's annual software license fee went up again. So I just made a note that it increased $35 in 2015, and we didn't think it would go up so quickly again.
This is what?
So they didn't budget for it, and neither did I.
Which is this?
This is for the court's annual software license.
Oh, okay.
And then, and then the code telephone, we all saw that come in. We just didn't budget enough for her phone line. And then for the water, I got those from Scott.
Yeah, the biggest one is on the fluoride grant.
It was the purification. Yeah.
That's the one that you and I talked about. We had to pay MRB $2,500 to get that in
Mhm.
because we're going for the whole grant now, not just the. They changed it. We can go for the whole grant, so we had to.
The planning and the implementation.
We didn't have any money in that, so that's what that's for.
Thank you, Megan. We've got at least the tentative budget for next fiscal year. Did you want to set up, have a workshop?
I think we need to, and it should be not a regular meeting, but
Yeah.
just set aside as a workshop just for that purpose.
Did you have an idea when you'd like to do that?
Not really.
Do you want?
Probably sometime before the end of the month.
I mean, what's everybody's pleasure with
Yeah.
with-
What's a good day during the week, probably, to do it? We don't mess up the weekends.
Wednesdays are good for me.
Yeah. See, this is.
What's good for you, Dan?
Starting next week, Wednesdays is the one day that I have I'm coaching AAU basketball. Wednesdays I'll be in practices. But, I mean, I'll skip practices when we have meetings, but
Tuesdays are good for you?
Tuesdays are better. Yeah.
What if we did it a week from next Tuesday?
On the 22nd?
Yeah, the 22nd.
I have no
You
problem.
check
That work
the,
for you on the 22nd? Not good?
so you're saying Tuesday the 22nd?
Or Mondays for you, Dan?
Which Monday, the 21st?
21st.
Yeah, I mean, I work till 4, that's all.
How's the 21st for you, Dan?
And I can be here by 4 o'clock, or try my very hardest, as long as, like, Charlie doesn't call me out to help him with the murder or whatever.
Just knock on wood. I don't know if that's real wood.
Particle board, not particle board.
Don't talk like that.
Monday?
Yeah.
Monday the 21st?
Yeah.
What time?
4 o'clock. And you get out of work at 4 o'clock as well? And I get out at 4, we can go for 4:15.
Yeah.
However you want to do it, it's fine
I
with
mean,
me.
that way we can get it done and get home.
You want to make it 4:15?
We'll go 4:15, that way.
4:15.
4:15
Yeah.
it is.
Monday,
21st, 4:15.
Budget
Right in
meeting.
here. See if we can't get this.
okay.
Give me a chance, 'cause
Line
it's
by
always
line,
working
shouldn't
that day.
take that long. Everybody's got a copy of it?
Yes, and in the email that I sent out with the tentative budget, I mentioned the Excel spreadsheet.
Mhm.
There's a hard copy of the general fund one in your folders tonight, so you're going to want to put that with your budget packets because there's notes in there. And then the water and sewer, there's not a lot, but I'll get those to you guys before your meeting.
That helps out a lot.
And then there is also, and I think it's improved, it's even improved this year compared to last year. There is also I think I put in your folders the letter for the concert series.
From
Yes.
Howell?
That should also
That's in the budget.
That should also
So
go
that's-
in your budget packet.
Yeah, that's
Did
in
we ever
there.
talk to him about seeing about doing anything up on Main Street, or is it?
No, we have not.
And he did stop in today as well.
He did?
Yeah, so that's why I had him forward me that email, and he was just expressing that the sooner he got just kind of like a general, yes, this is how much we're gonna do, so that he can plan the acts, and you guys will read that in his letter too.
It's a budgeted item.
Unless somebody wants to cut it.
Right, yeah, unless somebody wants to cut it. I don't see it happening real soon, but you're right. You got a point.
Nothing's firm until the fiscal year begins, and then even then it's not firm. You never know what's going to pop up.
You got a better chance of getting it though at the beginning of the year than you do later on.
That's true.
Unless you want a car.
Well, might be okay this year.
Okay. We got 26.5.
No, you do not.
I'm going to the backhoe.
We'll get the backhoe next year.
That's all I got for
Okay, I got a couple of items. The first one is the Freed Maxic contract revision. Did that get out to everybody?
Oh, yes,
Yes.
we did get
Yeah,
that one.
okay.
Yep.
And I think the thing we need to talk about is, why don't you explain, because you were talking with everybody, as far as the, if we go with the audit that, the
governmental.
IDA, that's it, not the IDA, USDA, yeah, I couldn't remember the initials, which one's this week.
Yeah.
They expect a little a little better or more thorough
Right.
audit.
Right.
But if we wanted to just stay the same, then the price would stay the same. Otherwise, it would jump
You
up.
brought this up last month and told us about how there was some changes. But
Right. Well,
Yeah.
well, this year, for the audit that they just did for us, the price isn't going to change.
No, it just is
I
down
talked
the
with
pike.
them. They're going to leave it as is because
Which
I
is,
went
what did we
back
pay
and
again this year?
12,000.
no, it was it less than that? I don't have it with
I
me.
thought it was 12 this year.
I don't have any of that with me, but they're charging us what the agreement was, but they're still providing us with the GAS audit, which is the higher audit because they've done the work already. So they're just going to eat the additional cost for that. So what they did is they provided us with the new rate for the next 2 years, for the year that we're in, and then the following year. If we want to continue with the GAS audit, which is technically required by USDA, and if we don't comply with that, then in the future, if we went to get financing from USDA, they could look at our track record and basically say, no, we're not going to finance you. So
Perfect. We're not looking for finance.
that's kind of what I said too. Who cares? So,
Well, you may care someday.
but
You just never know.
I never know.
no,
There might
so
be time.
so that's what that is. That's what that is. Otherwise, it's the audit that we've been getting. So it's a board decision.
Was that the one that's $13,000? Is what it's going to be over next
I think
year?
that was the, it goes up. Is it 13.5 next year or
When do we have to
13 and
make
I
then?
think it went up $500
Yeah.
per year.
Yeah.
In that, but it is technically a requirement through USDA. At some point, one of the clerks that worked here probably signed an agreement with them stating that
We would do
we would
that.
comply with this. Yeah.
I'm sure that's what happened.
In the end, we want to do what's right so that down
Right.
the road, somebody doesn't say, hey, these jack wagons back in 2015, 2016s. It's something more they can write up on the next audit. So, I mean, it just, when do we have to probably approve that at the next meeting or something to move forward the Mat 6? With
I
the,
would.
Yeah.
I think we'll just do that. I mean, if we can put that on the list for Wednesday or Tuesday night, we can get it done.
I've got it down here, so
Move
that's not a problem.
Yeah.
We'll move.
I mean, I'd rather do what we need to in case we ever do need the. Not that I want to
For that
finance anything,
small amount in addition to what they're charging us, I think it's worthwhile.
but to get us back into
Smart thing to
compliance.
do.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we ever were in compliance, I don't know.
When you're
what the-
notified you're out of compliance, you should do your best to get back within. I mean, hey,
Right.
Really?
And we have been. So
Well,
in that case, anyone's listening, we're trying.
do you remember any audits while you were on with the previous board or previous
No. Well,
administration? I mean, you had the state audit,
the state audit that made recommendations.
but I don't ever remember hearing anybody talking about an independent audit.
No, we done the state
Are we just doing
audit.
this now because for something fun to do?
Oh, we've been doing it ever since we came into office.
Right, we've done the state audit and they made recommendations and you might better talk to the wall. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Kind of like what the chief did for a year. Only to come back and tell him what he told him. So basically what you're saying is you just narrated what I told you and wrote it down and made it look pretty. Because was there anything that was like off the wall we didn't know in that thing?
And no.
No, yeah.
No, it was actually pretty boring reading. You kind of knew what
Well, knew what it was before.
Yeah.
We knew what it was going to
Yeah.
be the
Yeah.
day we asked them to do it.
Exactly, yeah. For
But,
nothing.
but the price was right. Rather than pay somebody to tell us what we already knew.
One positive one bid we had to do the audit from
It's like 20
from
some
the outside was some ungodly
20
figure.
some thousand. The other one's like 30 some thousand.
Yeah,
I'll do
it
it
was
for that.
pushing $40,000.
I could do it.
It's gonna be crayon. It'll look like I wrote it from across the room.
Okay.
Previous trustee was pushing real hard to have it done, but we said, no, it's not going to happen. We're going to go with the state
Yeah.
at zero charge.
Zero charge, that's right.
And now look at us.
The only other thing I had is tax cap override.
Yeah, we bring that up next month.
We said in the next 2 months.
Yeah, let it sit.
So that sits
Well,
in
wait
April.
till. Hey, why don't we? Why don't we do it?
I don't think we should be waiting to the last
Hey, why don't we
minute.
do it at this meeting? Can we do it at this meeting?
Hmm?
At least no one will mess it up.
I think April's
I
a
vote
good
for it.
time.
I want to make a motion.
I think April.
We're going to approve the tax cap override. Do it right here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. Well, I think we probably ought to at least do that in public.
Why? This is a public meeting. We had 2 whole people that came to the last one. We did have the snowiest day of the year. It worked out great.
Roads are closed.
State of emergency. We're freaking passing stuff as quick as you can.
Well, even that didn't save us though from the headlines.
No.
Hey, all we got to worry is about a couple dildos across the street. That's it. That's all you got to worry about. It's an adult store. That whole meeting, and they get that headline: adult store coming to town. Are you kidding me? It's here. She didn't catch that. Yeah. Hey, they're selling
Oh,
freaking
well.
adult toys across the road.
Yeah, whatever.
It's on its way. No, it's here.
Sign up for the tour Saturday afternoon.
BYOB. Batteries. Anyways. We
Anyway.
digressed real quickly.
Yes, it did. It went downhill real quickly too. I degenerated. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there.
Are we moving on to streets and sewer?
Yes, water and sewer is next.
Can I get moved to the front of this meeting instead of the end?
So you can leave?
Yeah.
Maybe.
What do you got a life outside of this place?
No, everybody's wore out when we get to me.
Charlie's
Everybody's
done. He
full.
stays here.
Good news is Karen's collected about 70,000 on delinquent water bills, so and we're right up to snuff. I think there's maybe 1 or 2. I know there's at least 1, possibly 2 that are shut off right now. But other than that, everybody's paid in full.
Really?
Yep.
Amazing.
Well, with the exception of
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
There was 22 shut-offs or something before. You're saying that's dwindled down now?
Every shut
Yeah,
off
they did
is
it.
taken care of.
they got right out there and got them done, and people came right in.
So there's no list to look at. There's no. It's done. Money's in. So that was.
And the money's looking good in the accounts? Now we can start building for the big $400,000 payout.
You'll know when I send out my report.
The boys have been up the last few days up on Gibson Street. I'll make it look real pretty here in another month. It's really wet in there right now, but we've taken a lot of stuff off that street. It was a mess. Hasn't been
You
touched
just doing the
in
upper
years.
bank?
All the way up through on both sides.
On both sides, okay. I went down through the other day.
I seen you had it closed off the other day.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't work on it. There's a lot of traffic. And I tell you, I cannot believe how many people go around those road closed. I was going to have you come up and write a few tickets. Unbelievable. They just
Yeah.
blow everything out. People are crazy. We have another issue outside the village, up in Mills Corners with a water line. We went up today, or Matt had went up there. The guy couldn't, the shut-off didn't work. So we went up, got it all on.
Mills Corners is where?
It's right up
The
there.
old Gibson
The old Freddy's
Street.
hot dog stand used to be up there.
Uh-huh.
That's where they put a new 16-inch
Yeah.
water main down through,
Yeah.
but they didn't hook anybody up. Left
Right.
everybody on the old line.
Yep.
I have a picture here, but I won't bore you with it. The line's a 3/4-inch line, but it's about this big, so it looks like if you touch it, it's just, I mean, the water's seeping out of it. We put it back together today, but it's leaking bad. Again, outside of the village. The problem is, I don't know how we could hook them up to the new line, this one customer, I don't know, we're gonna shut the old one off, it's so bad. I mean, it's really, really bad. Just rusty old galvanized pipe. I mean, eventually up there, everybody needs to get hooked onto the new line. But again, who bears the cost of it?
That is a water district.
Yeah, right.
Well,
That line,
right, but not for those people.
doesn't matter, that's basically the town's line.
No, yeah, it is.
So anybody gets hooked to it, they're gonna have to get permission.
Well, we've hooked onto it already. I asked anybody, he said, hook onto it, it's fine.
If Denny doesn't mind, then go ahead, but.
Well, again,
Who bears the cost?
we're outside the village, and
Mhm.
that's that same old BS. But it's our water that's running out. I mean, I have no problem going up and taking care of it. But you got like Murray Deutsch down the street, and then there's another apartment house, so those guys are on it. Who the hell knows how the water lines run down through there?
Right. Yeah, really, who knows? Absolutely.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So, not a good situation. It's one that's going to have to be taken care of pretty soon with this one that we worked on today, because it's going to be boiling out of the ground. But,
How far does that extend?
the 16-inch
The other line?
goes down in front of Babcock's old place.
Babcock's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a hydrant down there, you can see it, that's where it
Yeah,
stops.
okay.
But that's the problem, they all need to go on the new line and get rid of that 100-year-old galvanized line that's down there. But again, that's, would take a little doing and money. Okay, we'll leave that alone. I don't know. I know I'm not going to get an answer out of you guys, so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. We talked about it.
I know where there's 26 flags,
Yeah, that's in the wrong side.
Well, he's
Touch
gonna,
that 26.5, we're gonna have a problem.
he's gonna talk to the supervisor on that one.
That's good.
Thank you.
And they got a backhoe.
Good.
And one operator.
We know where you go dig.
I talked to Spring Creek Departments about getting an easement to clean out the creek that goes down through there. He's no problem, but I can see a problem because it's right next to my property. So if we're up there cleaning, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
You almost got to go across my property to get to that. But if anybody wants to walk, go up and walk that, it's a mess up through there. I just
What do you mean? Other people saying things, you mean?
no, yeah, that's what's it going to look like
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
Scott's up there cleaning
Yeah.
out his creek. That's what they're going to say.
Yeah.
Sad part of it. But I don't own it, so not mine. But it's a mess, a big mess. I took a tree
Sooner
out
or
of there.
later, anybody in this town is going to cross something that's theirs.
Well, I'm just saying it's the same old BS. But
Well, do it and let me worry about it.
all right. So I'll get that easement. And, we'll chip away at that. It's a disaster up through there. Just years of neglect. It's their property. They're not going to do anything, but it's our creek that gets.
Right.
And it all ends up there and just keeps working its way down. And
It's a mess. It's
Yeah,
pop. They're all
yeah.
overgrown, and there's
It's all that box elder stuff in there.
elder, it's
Yeah,
just
just
a
breaks
nightmare
off
down
and
through
clogs up the creek.
Yep. So we're good there. I'd like to bring Brian Fairbrother back, like maybe the 1st of April, sometime in there. I've got $21,000 left in my part-time funds. He'll take about $5,700 to get him through the next year's budget, so I have plenty of money to do it. You wanted to know. Usually I just bring him back, but you wanted to know, so.
it's all budgets are good there.
Yeah.
Was that in sewer, like water?
So I'm probably water and sewer, I'll take it out of both, but I'm gonna have him quite a bit down the sewer plant, because this composting, when we start up, is gonna be hot and heavy for a while. 'Cause we haven't shut her
Just
down.
specify for me, even if he just writes it on his time card or whatever,
Yeah, we'll just,
so that I know.
Yeah.
Do you have any money left in the highway side for part-time? Just wondering what your game plan is going to be for Walt's replacement.
well, probably, we'll see.
Part-time
I'll probably
Don.
just get through the next budget.
Part-time Don going to take care of that.
Yeah, part-time down, and I'll have to have somebody else. This part-time down will not be able to handle that. Absolutely not.
Won't be able to keep up with it.
No way. It'll be a disaster.
Well, I didn't know if we were going to talk with we talked last fall about getting a meeting with Dr. Alioto in regards to some sort of regular mowing of Babcock Park, and if they could do it on a regular basis, see how for their baseball fields, I know we discussed it last year, that would really relieve a lot down there, and all we got to do is go down and do a little, more of the trimming rather than worrying about the big areas. If we could, somehow, I was thinking, well, how do you do it with them, because if you say, well, we'd like it mowed once a week, in the summertime, it doesn't have to be. I mean, most of the time when you enter into an agreement with somebody, you go with height of the grass. When it gets above whatever, it needs to be mowed.
We should have an agreement with the school anyway.
Absolutely.
Because there's things that we could help them with, and it's always that.
Well, and we're going to get to the other point. I mean, I'll cross it, but Hober had a bill there for electric. It was when we had that meeting. Well, why are we paying the electric for something that's Hober's in the schools? But then, go ahead and finish.
No, go ahead. That's
when we were talking about part-timers, it just brings up the fact of mowing the parks, and I just wanted, I don't know if you want to do it, want to set it up. It doesn't matter to me, but there's always been supposedly these unwritten rules and who's going to do what. But the problem is when them people left office, there's nothing written down that says what's the agreement.
They've got plenty of turnover down there.
And so I think that we need to get some sort of agreement. So if we leave office or they leave office, then there's an agreement on our end of, this is what we plan on doing, and we want that mowed all season, not just. They seem to take real good care of it during baseball season, but as soon as the school season's done, it seems Babcock Park becomes second-rate citizen. And and I've always said they get what they want, and then they're like, yeah, whatever. Well, to get what you want, you need to enter this agreement, or else next year we'll mow it. And you go play your baseball on your own fields, which you don't have. And we give them first run of those fields. Modified plays on the A field, the varsity and JV play on the B field, and we give Hober's, the boys got full run of the boys field. And when the season's over with, the park's still there and still needs the same maintenance as it gets during baseball field. Now, we're not saying they got to come cultivate the fields, but at least mow them on a regular basis.
No different than they do at Clements Field.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep that pretty nice.
Yeah. Nicer than they do down here.
Only gets used during a certain period of the year.
Yeah.
Fall.
Yeah, that's it. They got looking pretty good.
But when I seen the bill, and I don't know how that bill was made, but it said Hober.
I just did that. I just put because he uses it.
But is that its own electrical outlet? So
its own panel.
I mean, that's one of those things where if that's for them,
it wasn't a whole lot. I mean, that was a very minor bill.
It was $400.
Yeah.
But I mean,
considering the softball lights at $7,600,
which we'll get to that because I got a call on that tonight. There's issues down there, but they're trying to rectify it, and hopefully by the end of this year, they're only going to play under the lights on Friday nights. But I told them to talk to you in regards to the fact of the charge for having
demand meters.
The demand. And I said to talk with Scott on that, but then he said they maybe discuss something about a generator or whatever.
Yeah, but that's never going to fly. It's just too much maintenance.
So, but they're planning on cutting way back on that bill to hopefully cover that lighting bill. We'll get
They won't do it. The problem is there's demand charge, and basically that's your whole bill.
So as soon as you turn them lights on,
yeah.
So after that, the other night, it doesn't really cost you much.
Yeah.
Very minimal. It's just that damn.
But we did have that meeting with them to sign out the parks, and they had requested the copies of the bills, so we went in and I talked with them and said, hey, these are your guys' bills that you guys make, and if we're going to charge softball for their use of the lights, then there's a bill here for $500, whatever it was, for youth football. They said that's technically yours. And it got down, it was $19 in the winter. And she's like, well, I don't know why that would be $19. I said, well, it's $16 just to have the thing hooked up. You had $3 for the charge for the light on the end of the building. Well, we could shut it off. And I said, well, point here is, if Little League can have theirs in their name, why can't football have theirs in their name? Why even cycle that through the village? And if Hobart put in the school's name, if that's your electric that you're using, why is a village footing the bill $400 for Hobart to use our field? I mean, this is all open to discussion, but it's when we got to have money to put new tires on an ambulance, and we're worried about where we're going to get that money, but yet we're shelling money out for lights and electric for somebody else. And football seemed really into the fact they'll take care of theirs. Softball's going to take care of the entire bill. There was $911 we figured out because we took the monthly, whatever the
$70 a month. Or
$70, $75 a month times the 12 to come out $911, whatever it was. That's ours because them are the lights that we have down there that run year round.
Night lights.
But as soon as they kick their, that's yours. We'll just continue to take care of the $75 a month. But anything over that, and I got a call tonight from Paul Kennedy, who is one of the guys who's taking that over down there, an assistant, and he said no, they had a meeting with all the coaches and they will pay their bill. They don't want the village paying that light bill.
Do we have signed agreements with these
I don't think we've ever had a signed
organizations? Because if we're going to do it with the school, we ought to have signed agreements with all of them.
Yeah.
Well, I think the signed agreement with the school is the fact that we give them the ability to come and use first run. Everyone else down there second run. And the agreement with them is to take care of your bill. They paid $4,000 last year towards the bill, and by the looks of it, it was about $5,700 is what their portion of that light bill was. And he said, well, if we got to run a tournament to raise money to cover the other $1,700, then we're going to do it because we don't want the village. And I told him, the village is in no position to be paying those bills. That's $1,700 that came out of someone's line.
Not in these times or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Years ago we weren't.
And that's what I said. Well, back when I graduated high school in 1989, and I was playing men's fast league, we paid $1,500 a year towards the light bill. Mm-hmm. Well, based on the men's league now, they pay $200 per team. There was 8 teams. They only pay $1,600 now, 27 years later.
Right.
So for $100, it's gone up more than $100 a year. They also brought up that they're worried about the fact that when there's home runs, the balls a lot of times land on the basketball court. So they asked about wanting to put up basically some big poles and string some netting like they have at like golf ranges and whatever to shag like high balls. Mm-hmm. And they asked basically would the village be interested in setting the poles. And I said, we'll get with Scott. I don't think we have any problem because we're all about safety within our park. You're purchasing this stuff. I'm sure we can help put it in, wouldn't you think?
I had any equipment to do it with, I could. But
what else do you need? You got a damn bulldozer.
No, we could probably we can get them started. How high do they have to be, though? Them guys can hit them pretty high,
Well, I'm not sure, but I told him, I said, get with Scott, but we are looking for safety in our park. I mean, we do allow them to play some softball, and we do actually have our basketball court sits in.
Can't you just give them wooden bats so they can't hit them over the fence? Or?
You'd think so. I said, can you use a squish ball, tennis ball, something?
Probably be easier to net off the basketball court.
Well, that's what
the softball field.
They're only left field, probably about 60 feet of it, put up like 3 posts, and they said you can get that netting for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, and then just string it's just like the nylon netting and just.
I was just thinking the arc of the ball by the time it comes into the.
I've seen them grising when they go over the. I've seen them clear the baseball or the basketball court. But either way, I mean, it was a good meeting. Of course, there's still people who are pissed off because who's running it down there? The whole softball ordeal down there. It's just a big melee. I got a call tonight in regards to the fact that, well, they won't turn over the checkbook, blah, blah, blah. I said, hey, we as a village don't want to hear what's going on down there. You guys get it under control because the last thing we need to worry about up here is that. If someone's not turning over something and they're not in charge of it anymore, it is an association. The last thing you want to do is get the Attorney General's office involved in it because then it gets very sticky and you're probably not being 100% run properly. But they are insured down there. And everything, so hopefully they'll move forward and find a way to move past that. But, I mean, we do need to talk about, Homer's got a $400 bill a year down there that the village should not be on the line for. Football said they'd take care of their bill. They were happy. They didn't know. And I said, well, you turn the lights on, you got to know that someone's paying the bill for that.
When will that transition take place?
We didn't really get into it because we really got to come back here and say, okay, this is what I mean, I kind of was speaking what we kind of discussed here, but I don't have any board action or board resolution to say this is what we want done. But I would think that their bills kind of started taking off in June, July when they started amping up for football season. So I would think that probably in the next couple of months we should be saying, doing whatever we have to do to say, hey, that needs to get changed into Dansville Youth football's name, and then if they want to turn it off in the winter, whatever they want to do, but we shouldn't be incurring those bills. You know, I mean, we're in Hobers. I don't know if the school. I don't know what happens with that because.
I'm trying to think if there's any other lights. I don't think there is on Hobers. I don't think there's any night lights right there by Hobers. Might be one that's on that bill.
The baseball field?
Yeah, but when you first drive in, is there a night light right in that area?
I know there's the thing for the dog.
Well, there might be one light on that surface. I'm not sure.
Well, it's something we could take a look at. That's about it. So the fields were signed up. They're all taken care of. Hopefully, everything goes off without a hitch. I see that there was the one gentleman must have put his nets back up on the basketball hoops because remember he was going to put them up and take them down. And I see that they were up.
The trees on Main Street, did we come to any kind of...
We haven't come to any kind of resolution on that, did we?
What trees? I guess that's which ones you talking about?
The trees out on Business District that we're going to remove.
No, we have not.
Cut.
No.
So we need to at least get some of them trimmed up.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and do that, I would think.
I know
But we need to come up with a plan. Just cutting and bulldozing isn't the answer.
No, we need to
We
fill
got to have something that's going to replace everything in some sort of a reasonable manner, not slash and burn.
But didn't we have, you guys met with somebody, right?
Well, we've got the Parks Rec and the Beautification Committee, but we haven't even gotten that far yet. There's a lot of stuff to be done.
April's going to be...
Well, it ain't going to get done all this year, I can tell you that right now.
Aren't there some trees, though, that have been trimmed to the point where
We need to come out.
they're unsightly
Yes.
and
They haven't been trimmed, they've been butchered.
butchered? Well, that's a term.
By most of the
That's a
drunks
term I
in
had
town.
in my mind. Can't we go in and remove them? We know we want to remove them.
Well, some are dead.
Well, I think
Okay,
that,
so-
yeah, those we can remove, absolutely.
We need
Let's get rid of them
You
before
got
they start to bud.
You got those bushes
Let's
down
take them
there.
out. Can we make an agreement tonight? Let's take them out.
Take out what you think needs to
Take
come
out what need,
Take charge.
I mean, I could walk down through there with
You
somebody.
just said we're not going to bulldoze.
We'll ax them.
What, you guys
Take them
want to
out.
bulldoze?
No,
Let's get
no.
moving on here. Let's not be talking about this.
I got a question.
Let's get rid of
We're
them.
talking about Main Street. We're talking about sidewalks. Is there a requirement for a sidewalk to be able to be passable without having to duck under trees? Is there anything on that?
Never seen
No. because-
Walk up Main Street. Because there's a couple of spots where trees hang right down across there, and I walk it every day, almost.
it. No, it should be trimmed back.
I'll keep
Well, like
track.
Dick says, they've been trimmed, and they need to go up.
But there's some of them that make such a mess on Main Street.
Yeah, you got them too.
Yeah.
The berries just unbelievable.
Exactly.
They got to go. I can tell you right now, the ones with the berries, they got to go.
Yeah.
Those are mostly crab apples.
Makes a
Oh,
mess.
no, they ain't
No,
crab
it's-
apples.
no.
No.
It's something else. I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what they are. but-
Scott, we'd like to use your
And they stain the
professional
sidewalk,
opinion.
Right.
and everybody walks over.
Charlie
and
likes
sees-
That's
trees,
going in and
anytime
out
they
of
go
buildings.
crazy, it's amazing.
Oh,
Do it at
terrible.
nighttime.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think
The one came up missing down in front of the sunrise in the middle of the night. Another one, kid had a big branch off. Larry standing there talking to him down in front of the barber shop the one day. I said, well, geez, Larry, go away and let the kid finish the tree off.
I mean, some of those been butchered so bad they got the main and one branch. That's it.
Up here by the post office.
It's like a lot of the
And
bloodlines.
let's get rid of them.
Yeah, yeah. Use your
Let's
judgment.
grab a shovel or whatever. Let's go up and do it.
Yeah,
They're on so unsightly. God.
okay.
Pete, I just
Can
found
you get
that-
rid of a sign?
Pardon?
No. Airport.
Well, we always have an ugly tree contest.
I got an ugly goddamn sign contest. You terminal.
I found that in my stuff here.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
so
a
that's
little
from
higher than I
last
thought.
year.
Yeah, it's up a little higher. I'll have to go back to them and check.
Well, yeah, well, how much are we gonna put in? That was the question.
Well,
He
I
was
don't know.
12.5 to do his part, and it was like what I had.
That's what I told them they would do.
Right, and it's about 9,000 for us, for materials, to do this wall over by the church.
Oh, yeah.
Who's gonna do that?
Well, Caldwell would form and pour it, we tear it all out, and pay for the materials,
What would be our part of it now?
like 9,000.
And $9,507.50.
We're looking at
That's
40.
last year's numbers too, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure the concrete.
Actually, some of them look a little cheaper.
Pardon?
Some of them look a little cheaper.
No, that's what I did last year. Pat had his price down.
Oh, okay.
So that's our price. that
That's
I
our
paid.
price instead. Okay.
That's why it's, yeah.
And then
So
Pat's
say
cost.
10 grand for us is what it would be.
Yeah. And
But that gets the steps on the other side of the street done too.
Right, yeah.
And the church would pay $12,500.
Have you met with them?
Yeah.
They said they would.
Yep.
We
You ain't
use-
touching my 26.
and we could use some card money for that.
We'll use the backhoe money.
What backhoe?
Dig
man?
that.
We ain't got no backhoe.
Let's see, do we have any left in the general? Maybe we could do that. I'd like to see that wall.
They're also going to donate a tree over here for the park too.
I can donate a sign.
Airport?
You're gonna laugh someday.
And just for information on, since we got obviously the Arbor Day celebration on the 23rd, that seems to be moving along. We've got interest from the high school environmental club. And what was the other thing I was going to mention on that? Because we already just talked about this. Oh, going back up to water and sewer. Karen gave me a bill today. It's for the property at 48 Leonard Street. There's no building there. We're charging them for water and sewer.
There's a foundation.
Well, there's several ways we can handle this. We can just possibly forgive that one since there hasn't been a building there for about a year. Or we could just let it ride and put it on the tax levy, at least up through the end of the year. From this point out, we know that the building's not there. She found out about it yesterday. I said, yeah, it's been gone for a while. He's just picking up the trash and getting it out of there every couple of weeks. So, if that's what you want to do, we'll just go ahead and levy it up to the beginning of the calendar year.
Have they come in yet to tell us that there's no building?
Yeah, Tammy's working on it.
Yeah. That's how come there's no buildings, we went after them, Tanner went after
Yeah.
them. They tear it down, so it's just a house.
That's the one right by the creek, right?
No, that's Carone's building down by that.
Oh, up there just past.
Yeah, up there behind Frank Bass's old place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, the cellar foundation was caving in.
Yeah.
Well, you can just get rid of it and call it a day. And
Yeah, he's going to take care of it and cover it up, and
Yeah.
that's it. And the county's going to take it anyway for taxes.
Where's like he's tearing down?
Yeah.
He could have just walked. I don't know why he didn't.
Yeah.
Because Tammy scared him. He's going to lock him up.
she scares me sometimes. I don't know how she's so busy.
Yeah. But you got 4 days of school.
Gotta take a test.
It's in and out of her office all day long, I know that. She's always having to move. Or people are coming in.
We definitely have enough money in the salt budget this year to do the wall. That's for sure. Can we move that, Danny? Would that be okay?
As long as you got
It's not summer yet there, Scott.
No, I got plenty of salt to get me through, so we're good.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's move it from the
Yeah.
south.
Yeah.
I think we've got a.
You got your car, be quiet.
I didn't say
Don't
a
look
word.
at me.
Not yet.
Nah.
Don't look at me with that tone of voice.
He doesn't get car yet.
Hey, do what you gotta do.
So, okay.
The wheel is
Go
turning.
with that.
As long as you guys are all in
That's a
favor
go.
of buying that car.
That's a go. Do we have to vote or we're
Well, we
going?
probably ought to vote on it next week, but
What it's worth if you're going to.
Well, it'd be a budget mod that we can vote on Tuesday.
Right, to add salt to the wound, it would be nice if maybe someone could contact Hook and Ladder and see if they wouldn't go in on doing their sidewalk, since it's terrible. It's
Yeah.
probably one of
You're
the.
absolutely
might.
right, Charlie.
Yeah.
If you're already going to be there pouring and killing and tearing
Yeah.
and ripping and putting it back together, it would be nice to have the sidewalk to the town hall actually be,
Yeah, well,
looking decent.
right,
Yeah.
actually
all the
walkable.
things.
Can we just tear down that whole building?
I only know because I walked it all day.
roof's coming off now, so.
And
Now,
how much they can
whether
afford.
They would jump in to help out with their, they
Yeah.
would pay that portion like people do, I don't know, but.
Yeah.
Worth a shot at.
Yeah, we
Now,
asked
we'll just
them.
have to go ahead and do it.
Since you're gonna be there anyway.
I mean, really, it's,
Minimal cost when you're there.
Yeah.
This wall too will have a stone pattern on the side of it, so it'll look halfway decent. New sidewalks,
That's
everything.
nice.
so,
Yeah.
New railing, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
Let's see if we can get some positive PR out of that one.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
definitely going to get
Oh,
some
yeah.
positive
Gotta be
PR.
something
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, till the first truck hits it.
Fact.
Fortunate.
That reminds me about something else too.
When do you think that could get done? Started done?
the wall,
This is the
probably would
weather.
start pretty quick, actually.
Yeah.
The weather stays like it is.
Yeah.
We've got all the quotes and all that, so that it's all set and good to go.
Yeah, I got another quote from Genesee Construction, they were 30 grand.
Yeah. Yep. We didn't get.
And the way we're gonna do it, with the church paying Pat, we're out of it anyways.
Yeah.
We're just buying our
Material.
material, so we're not really like it's not a contract or anything.
Sure you get that in the foil.
Oh, yeah. Speaking
Oh no,
of foils,
there'll be an article in the paper on that one. You
Another foil?
can believe me on that one. We're going to preempt any. This will be a preemptive strike. Who's
we
paying
used
what?
that.
Yeah, yeah.
A few meetings ago, if everything looked good in the budget, we would discuss a trailer. I need a trailer bad.
Yep.
And then,
You got salt.
so I use that money, that's no problem. I need, there was two prices, 66 and 7. I've looked for used guys, there's used Maryland, places like that, but they're still $5,500. I can't drive to Maryland and save $1,500 and then you get a used trailer, it's just crazy.
Well, you could.
I could, but it's gonna cost us.
Well, you might see something in the. You might see a foil on that one.
Well, this is where the foil is coming. I had a little accident in my truck on Main Street.
Oh gosh.
Hey,
This is this.
Charlie's going to Buffalo. Come on.
Well,
I might take the car to Toronto.
plowing on Main Street the night of the storm. I was plowing the sidewalk, backing down through, and the trees were gonna rip my mirror, my light off my truck. So I'm watching that. Just caught the mirror in front of Dave the barber, and it exploded. You'll see the building there. So I figured, all right, I'll move the excavator. I had to move it twice this week, so I'm moving it with my truck and trailer. And don't I meet Keith right on the corner and meet like this? So I'm sure they'll, And then he does a U-turn and he follows me up where I drop it off and he drives by real slow and he's looking at me. So, but seriously, I need it.
Yeah.
We didn't get the backhoe. I need a $7,000 trailer so we can move it. We got the truck set up. It's like today. We're up on Gibson Street. We go up to Deer Pond to load some stuff, and we had to go all the way over to Mills
Do you have it in your
Corners.
budget?
I've got money in the budget to handle that. It's $22,000 out of each budget. Take it out of all three.
22,000?
2,000.
You said 22.
Yeah,
you
you
said
said
heard him
22.
right.
I heard-
He
I
said
heard it.
22,000.
22,000.
You heard him right.
2,200.
Well, I was trying to get a real good trailer. But
So bitch gonna come with a kid that can
I
drive it.
definitely didn't hear Charlie say that they were selling films and photos over there at the other place, but I did hear you say 22,000.
well,
So you want the $7,000 one?
I don't care. The one was 6,600, one was 7.
Well, which one was better?
Well, the 7,000 naturally.
Holds more weight?
Yeah, a little bit. It's 2,000 pounds more.
I think for $400, I think you get the better
Exactly.
trailer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think if it's got in his budget, you got to do it because we're starting to pay for moving it around.
Yeah.
It's going to cost us an hourly.
It's
Need
$150 to move.
If we need a budget mod, take care of it for next Tuesday.
Yes. Budget.
Well, we want the budget mod in there right now. We can do it next month. Unless you want it done ahead of time.
Let's get it done.
Let's get it done.
Let's
We're gonna
move
do it.
on. Let's get it.
I got money in the line.
Let's do it. We can vote on it Tuesday.
Well,
Let's move on.
Yep.
Exactly, yeah.
So we got to do. It's over 5, so
Get
we'll.
the trailer right in the car, Chief. I'm done. Let's go home. I don't think the chief wants to
Okay.
do. I don't think the chief
Motion
wants
to
to
adjourn.
Chief goes, I'm not arguing with him again about this car.
Motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute. Not so fast.
Yeah, there was a motion and a second. I heard.
Is there any other unfinished business or new business that needs to be brought before the board this evening so we can put it on the agenda for next week?
Don't forget about Chalk Walk. Don't forget about Dogwood Car Show Desire there.
Yeah, I got
The
it.
Dogwood Parade,
Chalk Walk and
dog food
is
festival.
Chalk Walk or it's the?
What are you going to do with it? Chalk Walk wants to shut off from Prine to Austin.
Okay.
And Dogwood wants to shut off from Austin to Clare Barton.
Yeah.
For the car show?
Dog.
Yeah.
When's
I
the
think
dog?
that's a good
I think
idea.
it's going to be fun.
I think so too. I'd like to see them open it up to more cars.
Yeah, I've started trying to find someone who might know where there's a 1960s police car that somebody might have that they would, that
When's
they
Dogwood?
Yeah, when is it?
bring.
It starts usually it starts the week after or the week immediately following Mother's Day.
Yeah,
When's Mother's Day?
yeah.
I knew you were going to ask that question.
Somebody's got to have
May,
one.
right?
Don't turn your bite of that.
Mother's Day is the 8th of May.
Second Sunday in May.
So
That's right.
you're
It would
saying
be.
that the 14th and 15th will be that?
Yeah.
I won't even be here. We'll be in Waterloo that weekend.
Sorry.
Miss the dog food fest.
Anyway,
If you contact a night to make, they'll reschedule for you.
Yeah.
What?
Dogwood.
dog
Food fest?
I think
Okay.
that's a good idea.
I've got to check on it. Good. I'm glad you reminded me. Thank
Yeah,
you.
just
I still think we need to get a hold of Ale and Hound and get something up on Main
Okay.
Street with the band.
and I think the last time we checked into that, we can do that all on our own here.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
not
three.
close to-
Yeah, we just, but don't. I remember once sitting in here when Barry was mayor, and that whole discussion came up. That's why I was a little hesitant to say yes right away.
My gut instinct is I can't put my finger on why I feel this way, but my gut instinct is we can just make that decision to shut that down temporarily.
Yeah.
The only thing that concerned me was especially the Dogwood, because that would be from
Noon to 4.
noon to 4. Then you got the parade, which shuts it down for another 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
I just don't want to get in trouble.
Reroute traffic around for.
I just don't want somebody coming down and saying you
We're
can't
supposed
do
to
that.
afterwards. They tell us we can't do it, and we say, oh, we didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's
Tell-
right,
show
yeah.
us how come we won't do it next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better to beg for forgiveness.
All
Yeah.
right.
Hey, they can't even get our lights back in Unity. What are they going to do? Not yell at us?
Right. I'm pretty sure, I want to say we looked that up on someplace, and we've got the authority to do that on our own.
Okay. Well, if we do, then I guess we will. Well, board permitting. Okay, the only other thing is I have an executive session I need to call for to discuss the decision in the letter that we got for an officer. I think you all know who I'm talking about. And I also need to talk about payroll and Social Security and a thing. It's shouldn't take very long
It's a
though.
W-2 issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't affect my social security, I'm in good shape.
It won't affect you at all.
No, it doesn't
It's going to
affect
affect, one former employee and one current employee, and they're probably not going to be happy.
And I can talk about that
That's what I'm
anytime.
looking for.
So, if I can have
Motion to go into executive.
okay. 10:25, second?
Second.
Okay. All right. Megan, you can stay.
Okay. I thought maybe.
All right, see y'all later.
You guys got a copy of that Caldwell I have?
Okay, I'll make it.
Put it in your top drawer, so I
Yes,
think
sir.
that works now, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
I don't know whether